Why am I dancing with that trans person?
But yeah, so we got a couple of longer things that I want to watch today. The first one being Brianna Wu from, what is this? January 2023. It says 1 year ago. It's actually exactly 2 years ago this was You're So Passive Aggressive. Frustrating talk with Brianna Wu. It's a Chud Logic video. So this is following a panel on the ethics of buying Hogwarts Legacy. This is something I'm hugely interested in, by the way. I need to do more coverage of this Hogwarts Legacy because this played a big part in like peaking me the out like 2 years ago. Nuts. Absolutely insane that this shit went down. Chad speaks to Brianna Wu, who has stood firmly for the boycott of the game. And by the way, who fucking knows if Brianna Wu still feels the same way about this? Brianna Wu seems to change her opinions based on what the weather is like outside today. It's very hard to keep up with her positions on like anything. I'm always kind of like, wait, she thinks that? That's what she thinks? I was under the exact opposite impression. Holy shit. Holy shit. But yeah, let's see. Chud Logic, good guy. Shouted me out a few times. Not a fan of Brianna Wu, I gotta say. So there's some bias going in, I'll be honest. But hey, I'm interested in this topic. I'm interested in what the Brianna Wu has been on. She's never going to talk to me. She had me blocked on Twitter for questioning her about shitting on Ray GP for no apparent reason. But yeah, let's have a look.
It's very difficult to come at you with a sort of...
What happened to Tom Zoo, by the way? Sorry, I know I'm pausing in 2 seconds, but like, what happened to Tom Zoo? Chad, we need answers. Is this xenophobia? Is it xenophobia? I can't remember. The one that means you hate Asians. Is that what this is?
of frustrated or angry energy, because the way that you talk and put yourself across, it's very calm, very relaxed.
Oh, thank you so much. You're anti-trans now. I'm really sorry. I don't know how to say your name, but thank you so much for following.
But then you have little jabs here, jabs there. And then when it's pointed out to you, you just go, well, that's just how I feel about it. But you are like, you know, attacking, but just doing it in a calm way. Your engagement.
Oh, and Brianna looks completely different. This is 2 years ago. She already looks completely different now. Insane.
It's very passive aggressive.
Well,
it's frustrating.
like I
It's
said,
frustrating to deal with, is what I'm saying, okay? You're a very frustrating person to talk to. As pleasant as it is to talk to you, it's very frustrating to talk to you, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I'm sorry that you find it frustrating.
No, even that, you're
this.
saying sorry. You're saying sorry to me. Like,
Listen, Zhu, that sounds like a Chinese surname, no? Zhu? I can't remember. Hatred of China. Okay, well, we're not getting into any of that. That is not relevant to the subject matter. I don't need loads of people popping off about something completely unrelated. Let's be very clear from the off. I don't really want to get banned for my chat or something like that. It's hard enough trying to get monetized. Anyway.
what on earth is going on?
2023 being 2 years ago makes me feel ancient. How do you think I feel? 1990 being 35 years ago.
Chat, you need to be on your best fucking behavior, okay? I've got all eyes on me at the moment, right? We've got the LSF people that are fucking coming for me.
Okay, just give me 1 sec. I am being ousted from my position once again. Jesus fucking Christ. You'd think Chud Logic would understand that a year and a half after this, I would start my channel and wanna sit on this side. But no, he gets to go there. Fine. Jesus fucking Christ.
We've had a bit of fucking leftoid bits and pieces, okay? I'm not going to be able to pay as much attention to chat, so behave yourselves, okay? Do not get me in fucking trouble with Twitch, alright? You best behave yourselves.
I guess this is just what he says whenever a trans person is on them. Oh, it was funny. If he knew me a bit better, he wouldn't bother in my case, but hey.
Hello.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to move again, aren't I? I am gonna have to move again. It's fine, we'll just move as and when.
Let me just get my camera up here.
Sounds.
It's interesting how she looks like 10 years older here than in her usual stuff nowadays, where there's no filter. Like, we've got the odd shape of the jaw. Yeah, interesting.
Okay, there we go. Well,
How many filters do we think? Are there filters on there? Let me just move for a second time. Jesus Christ. Inconsiderate. Not how we like it. Let me just OCD for a... That'll do. Chad spoke to Wu. Yeah, this was exactly 2 years ago. This was posted, to be clear. So this happened 2 years ago. So Brianna Wu, not as many surgeries, not as many, what's the word? Not as many filters. God knows what is going on with the hair here. But hey, it's about how people talk about things. I get told off often enough for how I mean about people's appearances, as if people aren't very, very welcome to say what the fuck they want about my appearance.
Brianna Wu, in the flesh. How's it going? You good?
I was just about to go Peloton, and then I got that Discord message, and I'm like, you know what? I think you can't turn this opportunity down. So I'm doing well.
Okay, cool. I note that my reputation precedes me. It seems that you've got some familiarity.
Wait, Catch is boring. I thought you hated me. I can't even see you in chat. I think I blocked you. I'm so sorry. I can't see you anymore. Well, you can be here. I don't mind. Just undermine me if you want. I'm used to it. I hope you're good though. I sincerely do.
Doing my work, it would seem.
So I'd love to talk about this on stream. The only thing I've ever seen from you was you going after Lav, which I fucking loved.
Okay.
I watched all of that because Lav is awful, but we can let's talk about it on stream.
Lav is awful. Interesting. I'm guessing it has something to do with the gender critical beliefs, because I don't remember Lav ever dealing with Brianna Wu. I could be wrong. I could check, to be fair. But from what I remember, it's mostly just Lav being gender critical. The Destiny situation. Brianna Wu accuses Lav of lying about her. Oh, okay. Comments Lav made about... Wait, now I need to know what comments they made. Jesus Christ. Try not to laugh at the expressions on Wu's face. Lol. Yeah, what were the comments? Lav is the 9/11 of feminism. What? What? Hang on, let's try Femoid, because that's the other thing she goes by. I don't know if I'm going to find it, to be clear. If anyone knows what it was that Lav said about her or whatever, I don't know. She's been being weird. She's been being weird about the Destiny stuff. Brianna Wu's being weird. You know, water is wet. Anyway, let's keep going. Oh, hi, Wicked Weird Wednesday. I hope you're good.
That's surprising. I wouldn't have expected you to be a fan of the Lav, insults and whatnot.
Why? She's horrible. She's horrible. She's the... We'll talk about it.
What are your problems with Lav?
I think that she wraps herself in the robe of feminism, but it's really about her own narcissism. And
vague, typical Brianna Wu vagaries. It's a bit like when I asked her about her Ragey P comments, and it was just vague bullshit designed to fob me off, which didn't work, so I kept pressing, and then she blocked me. Is what it is. The fact that I can't now ever work with Brianna Wu ever is a massive loss, considering how they have people like Taftage on Dollcast, and those kinds of people are very intelligent, but then when you hear them talking on Dollcast, it's like they have to watch everything they say. Because of Brianna, I would rather eat the strings off of my guitar one by one than be that way. I will not watch how I speak for anyone, quite frankly.
I think it is so damaging and transparent and sad. And I just think she's not a very good person to come down to it.
Yeah, vague bullshit, probably.
That's interesting. Well, you've played a blinder here, because now it's very difficult for me to be angry at you, because you paid me a compliment straight away. That is a very good maneuver, and don't think I haven't noticed it, okay? Because I have.
Yeah, it's not a maneuver. It's the only videos I've seen of yours I know your reputation on Twitter, which, it is what it is. But God. I saw this video of you going after Lav, and don't get me wrong, I thought you said some stuff that was crossed over into sexism, but she's a terrible person. So there it is.
It was tactical sexism, but I understand where you're coming from, okay?
100%.
Okay, cool. So I'm watching your kind of discussion. I think the thing is we've obviously got a disagreement about this whole thing.
We can disagree.
I think the biggest issue that I've got in terms of how you're describing it is this idea that it's people kind of just asking. They're just nicely asking to boycott the game.
Which is not true. Jesus Christ, I had friends, oh, remove me from your life if you're going to play the Hogwarts Legacy game, like all that shit. And then I talked about it a couple of years ago, not on stream. I wasn't streaming back then. I was just kind of on fucking social media, talking about how I thought it was pretty nuts that people were going to the trouble, telling people to like cut them out of their lives if they're going to play a video game. I had friends calling me like privileged and stuff from their nicer houses than mine, owning nicer cars than what I do. Just about everything they have. Better salary. Ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous.
And I agree that there's certainly people on the other side that are kind of excessive in how they're saying they're going to buy 1 billion copies of the game. But I think there's a real like browbeating that's occurring that goes beyond just asking nicely. It's kind of
okay, so Brianna Wu's tweet here. Let me just hide my camera a sec. Fuck around and find out. That's why it's really important for decent people to boycott Hogwarts Legacy. I have a lot of friends in games media, but I will be cutting ties to anyone that promotes this. This is nuts. This is coming from a woman in her 40s. Crazy. How are you like this childish? And the thing I can barely read. After exceptional 2021 results, Pottermore, the global digital publisher for J.K. Rowling's Wizarding World, saw profits drop by 40% last year. How nice. How nice.
like, you're transphobic if you buy the game.
Sure.
You're a bad person if you buy the game. I think you yourself have said that you would look bound.
I find it very odd screeching about the right boycotting games like Dragon Age when they did that to Legacy and only one of those games sold. Yeah, reminds me a bit of like the Bud Light boycott actually kind of worked. When these like lefty types do these boycotts, they don't seem to work very well. You know what I mean? The way Taftage and Skylar self-censor around Woo makes Dollcast quite disappointing. I agree. And they're the ones that make it worth watching. Like, I actually think Skylar seems quite intelligent. And Taftage seems very intelligent. But they're kind of hamstrung. It sucks.
Down on someone that buys the game.
Please do not support.
Do we remember this? Do we remember this? This fucking guy sincerely gazing into the camera. Please, you may not know this, but this video game, it has these it's by this mean person, okay? You're actually contributing to homophobia and transphobia and racism. Anyway.
Support the upcoming Hogwarts Legacy game. Friends, colleagues, cohorts, the whole lot of you, I'm asking you very sincerely, please, do not stream it. Don't make YouTube videos about it, don't buy it, and don't bloody pre-order it. The reason being is that you may not be aware that by support...
This is actually fucking gold. I every time I remember this video comes up, it makes my life like 1% better. You know what I mean? Genius. Love it. Love it. I wonder why people weren't convinced by this.
Supporting this title, you are essentially aligning yourself with some really heinous...
Essentially aligning yourself, are you? By buying a thing that you want to play? Fuck me.
Transphobic values.
So,
I think my exact statement is it was a test. It was a character test, and some people were about to fail.
I was muted and I'm not even on camera, so no one could tell me. My position on Hogwarts Legacy is clear. I'm boycotting it. I think that if you care about trans people, you should too. This is like practically... Do I want to say abusive? It almost is in a way. Like, ridiculous. What are you doing? But in what should not be a surprise to anyone, most gamers don't care about trans dignity enough to sacrifice for them. What do you mean don't care about trans dignity? Do you really think people are thinking about that shit? You know what I mean? Do you think they're thinking about whether J.K. Rowling is an evil transphobe? When they see the Harry Potter game and they love Harry Potter and they want to play the Harry Potter game? It's preposterous.
That test, and I stand by that statement. I do think that's the case.
Emma Thomas. Oh, I saw something about that. I think I saw the thumbnail. Children of Transitions. Yeah, I might have a look at that sometime. Thank you. Sorry, but anyone who thinks Brianna Wu is a moderate is being lied to. Yes, I agree. She's a fucking TRA fuck. And she goes on and on about how bad TRA types are. But then she'll just throw random insults at people that think differently to her for no apparent reason in her podcast and block anyone that calls her out on it. So she can sit here and be like, oh, we can disagree. Brianna Wu has to have deemed you worth even talking to. Like, I'm never going to be there now, and that's fine. I don't want to fucking talk to Brianna Wu anyway. I mean, I would if it came up, but I don't fucking care that much. But like, that seems to be kind of how it is with her, and it sucks.
If you've had your conscious...
Hogwarts Legacy isn't a game. It's a character test, and a lot of people are about to fail it. Gross, disgusting. You're applying your morals to everyone else, and what's more TRA than that? I wonder, has she ever backtracked on any of this shit? I wonder.
Business raised and you're aware of the issues. Something I talked about on stream is, I was at Disney World a few weeks ago, and
I really wish at the time this Hogwarts Legacy thing came about that I had the sale screen on the Switch. I wish I took a screenshot hovering over it, being like, should I? I really wanted to do that, but I don't know. The worst thing is I should have, because all the people that I was trying not to fall out with for like quite a long time at that point, they were already starting to show their true colors to me. So it was like, well, fuck it. I should have anyway. Because all I'm doing is having a fucking joke anyway. I'm not even doing anything to anyone.
I went down the elevators and there were some, just children basically dressed up as Harry Potter. They were clearly going to go over to Universal for the day. Are they involved in any of this stuff? I'm sure they're not even aware of it. I don't care if they play Hogwarts Legacy. But if you say you're an ally of the trans community, you have...
This is gross. If you loved me, you'd do this. This is the language of abuse, my friend. If you loved me, you'd do this for me. Maybe I don't love you.
Your consciousness raised, you know about these issues.
Or maybe we have very different opinions of how love is shown. Gross, disgusting.
I do think it's a character test in my view.
But I guess then the issue becomes, like, what actual substantive harm is being...
First of all, like, massive props for Chud not hitting the roof at this shit, because I would have been. I can't avow this kind of attitude. It's disgusting. You think that the world owes you shit, and they don't. No one does. The post-Mutahar Keffels video, Chud, Brianna... Yeah, shit, yeah. Because she was still, like, sweeping for fucking Keffels. Like, a year and a half after the whole Destiny thing. And then after the Mutahar thing, she had to be, like, dragged away from supporting Keffels. Really, really bizarre. She seems to, like, wait till the very last minute, and then she changes her mind to whatever's actually socially acceptable now. You know what I mean? Whether it's Keffels or trans rights activism. They reacted to this so venomously because Harry Potter is one of the few books they all read. Lol. Maybe that's why I didn't react to this so violently, because I never read Harry Potter. It was never my thing. This has become a religion at this point. It has a little bit. Was this libtard era Chud? I mean, he's still, like, left-leaning, is he not? I mean, I think he was firmly, like, a drama guy by then. I don't know. I remember I watched him from just before, like, the face reveal. And I think by the time the face reveal, he wasn't really talking about politics a huge amount anymore.
Being caused by purchasing this licensed game.
Okay, so before we get to that,
how will Keffels afford cocaine without the woo? I don't know, GoFundMe probably is what most trannies use.
Can we go through and review for any group fighting for their civil rights? Whether that's, gay people, black people, trans people.
Ah, yes, the Hogwarts Legacy boycott is in line with the fucking gay rights movement. Sure, bro, sure.
There are a certain number of tools that you have. So I grew up in Mississippi. One of the tools that black people use to kind of get over white supremacy in Mississippi is they all lived very close together. And they really worked in towns to basically make sure other black people were elected. This is where Stacey Abrams comes from. There are really enough trans people around to make that a viable tactic. Okay, what else do you have? You can vote. But the one party we have, the Democratic Party, really doesn't...
Voice of sanity.
Oh, thank you so much. Tuning in with Nick Jarrah. Thank you so much for the $10. Thank you.
Doesn't do much on trans issues, right? They'll do lip service to it, but they're not really putting bills forward. So that's not really a viable option. You could donate a lot of money. You could build your own civil rights organizations. Jewish people have done this. Black people have done this. Gay men have done this. But a lot of the trans people I know are kind of broke. That's not.
You're not. Why aren't you doing more, Brianna? Don't you love the trans community enough? I feel like if Brianna Wu actually loved the trans community, she'd give much more money and sell all this extraneous shit she has that she doesn't need. It's all bullshit, ultimately. It's all materialism. Why aren't you moving house to a smaller place, selling your house and using those funds for trans activism? Don't you love the trans community enough? Remember, chat, we grew up a poor black child, so she knows how it is. Oh, man.
Not an option available to them. So I think, unfortunately, it really gives the trans community a very limited set of tools to push back and fight for that agenda. And I think, unfortunately, one of the biggest ones is social media. So I think that this boycott is one of the few places where there's...
Oh, it's going to be, well, what else are we supposed to do? This was another thing I heard from like friends of mine. It's like, well, we don't have many ways of like activist things, so this is what we're doing. And it's like, if you don't have many ways of being an activist, does that mean you should do something necessarily that is ridiculous and stupid and is not going to help and is going to make this shit way fucking worse? More of an intimidation. They bullied streamers with 3 viewers. I haven't seen many of these streams that were bullied. I've seen a couple. I don't know how much of it was like bullying. It was more like hectoring, the version that I saw. But it still wasn't okay. Like going on and on at someone that wants to play a video game. Like just shut the fuck up. You're just going to piss people off ultimately.
There's any kind of ability to fight back against the 200 anti-trans bills that have been proposed in the last year and a half in the United States. Okay.
I mean, it sounds like what you're saying is that there aren't effective political tools in your view that can actually be utilized. So we're going to do something that, in my opinion, is pretty useless, which is just...
Yes, there we go. Nailed it.
...on social media.
And that's retarded. It's retarded. Like, the only option you have available to you is dumb and useless and is just going to piss people off, potentially make more people buy it. Why would you then still do that thing? Why wouldn't you find anything else to do? I don't know, use your imagination, or maybe... Stop fucking caring about this dumb shit.
She was in a debate with Eli Elric about giving kids hormones illegally, but she's whining about stupid crap like Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah, true. I mean, to be clear, this is an older video. Thank you so much for the $3. Asami Yamazaki. Yeah, I watched the Eli Elric thing as well. Crazy. As a VTuber fan, Hogwarts Legacy thing was kind of a character test for some people. Seeing fans harassing VTubers at what game they chose to entertain their audiences was an eye-opener. Yeah. This Hogwarts Legacy shit was a big thing that, like, peaked me the fuck out. Because, like, I immediately could tell that this was stupid. It wasn't going to help. It wasn't going to do anything for any kind of rights movement or any of that shit. And then I see my friends running around on social media treating people a certain way. Like, oh, you must hate trans people if you play this fucking video game. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. I saw one girl. Yeah, I need to find more like VODs of that. I watched a bunch of like, I think it was Asmongold stuff of all people. Like he was covering a couple of people that got shat on. I think it was some Ukrainian person or something like that was getting shat up for playing fucking Hogwarts Legacy. Nuts. Absolutely crazy. I really don't like the ways people see minorities, like pathetic wounded animals who can't think for yourself. Yep, I agree.
Media about our issues.
So I agree with you. This is a bad fight, a bad framing, and...
You agree? Why are you down with it then, you dumb fuck? Obviously you don't agree. Oh, I hate her. I don't expect to find much honesty from this person, quite honestly, but hey.
You know, if I could wave my magic wand, it's not a fight I think I would choose to have. I'm a political professional. I run a...
It's not a fight I would choose to have. Then why are you doing it? Why were you doing it, should I say? Why are you making statements about, well, if you care about trans people, you'd stop doing it? You sound like you don't even believe that. So why say it? Why make yourself sound worse than you actually are? That's nuts. Since Kamala lost, Brianna's gone anti-woke. The election was her trans peak moment. I don't know how much I believe that. I think she was pushing some of that kind of stuff before the Kamala election loss. She was pushing back against a lot of the TRA shit whilst doing a lot of the same shit that the TRA types do anyway. I've heard her say things like that she won't openly criticize someone like Aaron in the Morning, who is a fucking rank liar. And she seems to think that pretending to be normal is how we'll get anywhere. It's not. What we need to do is stop the lying. Like, if we haven't got a good answer for something, maybe there isn't a good answer for it and our shit is kind of nonsensical. I don't know. But yeah, being dishonest like Brianna is not going to help anything. She pretends to be normal, says the right things. I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all.
National super PAC for progressive people. We worked for $250,000 in the Nina Turner race.
Like, by the way, to be clear, when I first started this, when I was on Twitter, I kind of gave her the benefit of the doubt for a little while. But it started becoming quickly clear that she spends a lot of time shitting on like TRA types and getting in fights with them. But she's like the same. She's ridiculous.
Right. This is, I can just tell you as a professional, this is a bad fight to have. It's also not one the trans community chose to have. Like J.K. Rowling is the...
I remember how many social media cronies would turn on their audience when it became convenient over Hogwarts Legacy. Especially when it's revealed that you could make a trans character in the game. Most of them were like, oh well, they're just pandering.
Yeah, you can never please those kinds of people. Thank you so much for the $1. Asami Yamazaki.
Aggressor here. She started this. And I think she's really put the trans community in a really unfortunate situation where there's not a good play. I think this is the best this is a bad fight in the Nina Turner race, right? So people, we worked for $250,000 in the Nina Turner race, right? This is, I can just tell you as a professional, this is a bad fight to have.
Tell you as a professional. Show bro.
It's also not one the trans community chose to have. Like J.K.
What? You're not choosing to say things on social media? You're not choosing to be some guy with a fucking progress flag behind you and like half your hair shaved? Sincerely imploring people, please do not buy the Hogwarts Legacy game, please. You have to understand what you're actually doing is you're supporting transphobia. That wasn't a choice. Mate, there's been a lot of fucking choices in this whole thing. That's the problem. The problem is it's all choices that no one had to make. You're outed yourself as fucking sociopaths. And now you're trying to downplay it. Disgusting. Fucking disgusting. I don't know if I've seen this before. I have to see if Chud starts getting on a case about any of this. But he's raising good objections so far.
Rowling is the
Silvervale. I think it might have been that person. Yeah, there was people like hectoring them and stuff. And like this like guilt trip bullshit. Like you might not be insulting someone, but you're still being a cunt, you know what I mean? Like, why is that better? And these people think that because they engage a certain way, that they're absolutely fine and they're like bang to rights, when actually they're being quite disgusting. They're just not expressing themselves in a typical kind of disgusting way or something.
The aggressor here. She started this. And I think she's really...
Oh, it's like cartoon. It's not cartoon shit. It's like playground shit. Oh, she started it. I'm like, fuck off, bro. Fuck off.
Put the trans community in a really unfortunate situation where there's not a...
As if there was no choice. As if there was no agency on the part of the other people. Because fucking J.K. Rowling expressed her opinion. Now, all of your terrible actions are excused. Disgusting. Gross.
Good play. I think this is the best bad play available for trans...
I heard Wu ran some poor guy off the street, off the road. Holy fucking shit. I remember that.
People.
Well, in that case, why not just go after J.K. Rowling herself, as people do on social media? Why, rope this kind of game into it when I think her own...
I mean, I can answer this for you, because harassing someone because you perceive them to be a transphobe is A, retarded, and B, makes you, at the very least, no better than them.
The contribution is that she's had the license purchased to make the game in the first place.
I think we are going after J.K. Rowling.
In a very roundabout way. Like,
yeah.
It's not...
I mean, when you think about it, like, technically, they bought the rights and they make the game. She's already been given a certain amount of money. If you're boycotting a Harry Potter game, it might suggest to other companies that they might not want to buy the same license. But this whole thing failed anyway, and it's... Yeah.
It's not like the same as going after her on Twitter or something like that. It's, well, you've licensed this game, so we're not going to buy the game because you're going to potentially get some royalties. It's a very roundabout way of attacking her.
I'm just waiting for them to uncover the trans concentration camp J.K. Rowling is seriously single-handedly running. Yeah, true. I've got one in my house as well. Don't tell anyone. Shh.
I think, and I genuinely hear what you're saying there. I think I have a bigger view here, and if you'll just let me explain it, I don't need you to agree with it, but this is my thinking on this. I think J.K. Rowling is a symbol, and I think that there is a pragmatic play to be made here, where if you were choosing to associate yourself with a symbol, making people pay a certain political cost, I think that
this is like sociopathic. And this is going to help the trans community. This is going to help trans people. She's nuts. Like, I get that this person has some involvement in like politics. It kind of seems like it's like rotted her brain out. And everything's like political strategy now. Including acting like a spastic on Twitter or hectoring someone for playing a video game. You know what I mean?
It's not a fight I would like to have. I just think it's a move that you can do. So I think the next time Warner Brothers decides what games they're going to make or license.
Yeah, they'll look at the games that sold well. What were the sales figures for Hogwarts Legacy? $30 million units. Does anyone know if that's good for a video game? I have no fucking idea, but that's what happened. 30 million units. Guess this shit didn't work after all. I guess if Warner Brothers decides it might want to make another Harry Potter game, they might look at the sales figures and be like, that's the kind of thing. A person isn't a person. Yeah, true. Yeah. I suppose it's easier to make death and rape threats at someone if you decide that they're not a person but a symbol. Interesting. Outing yourself rapidly.
I think they're going to have a hard think about working with Harry Potter again. I think game developers, many of whom are trans, are going to have second thoughts about working at WB. I think it's going to be harder for them to recruit people. I think streamers are going to have a think about...
It's going to be harder to recruit from the 1% of people that probably don't want to work there anyway because they might have to make a Harry Potter game. Okay.
Streaming this game live. And if they do stream it, they're going to have to,
30 million times $50. Oh, Jesus Christ. What, 150 million? 1 billion, 5 million? I don't know.
If they present themselves as allies to trans people, I think they're going to have to, at least make some concessions there.
Do I mean 1 billion, 500 million, maybe? I don't know, maybe. I'm usually good at maths, but when I get put on the spot, JKR is a person, not a symbol. Isn't this dehumanizing someone? Yeah. Well, makes it far easier, like I said, to make death and rape threats of someone, which we all know that has been happening. We all know.
I think you're overstating. I think that the boycott has backfired. I think that, it's brought more attention to the game, if anything. And I just don't think it's going to have this negative impact that you're saying it's going to.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Does she not think in any case, what if this boycott fails? What if we've actually now made them more likely to make more games? What if we've made it so that she's going to make more money because people are going to keep buying the license because it's a good seller? You know what I mean? Does she not think before getting behind this ridiculous boycott? Well, what are the potential costs? But that never seems to enter into it. It's all like, well, it wasn't a fight. We were forced into it. You weren't forced into anything. Nobody was. No one I know was forced into telling people that they're a transphobe if they even think about buying the Hogwarts Legacy game. No one was forced into any of that. J.K. Rowling didn't start shit on that front. That's nuts.
So I think this is, shooting themselves in the foot in some ways, the kind of online trans community has by...
Yes, come on, yes. Did you not think of this?
Making such a big deal about this. And
sure. I don't disagree with you there. It could completely backfire. I think...
But you must have thought it was worth it somehow.
I really try not to talk about Gamergate because it's just...
Oh my God. I think nowadays she doesn't mention it so much, but I remember back then, I'm sure there wasn't a single fucking video that came out in 2022, 2023, where at some point she didn't start harping on about fucking Gamergate. Even the Queeman debate with her. She keeps taking a stop to bring us back in time to fucking 1998 and the start of Gamergate, whenever the fuck it was. You know what I mean? I really try not to talk about Gamergate. Oh, man. Your DM on Discord. I did not. I can have a quick look. Oh, nice. Yeah. Cool. I mean, I'm watching this, but like, if you want to let me know when is good, then that'd be cool. Yeah, definitely.
Is not what I want to be known for. But, you know, for me, Gamergate was very similar in the sense it was a losing battle to get involved with, right? But women had kind of been in this situation in the game industry for 30 years where we just kind of let sexism wash over and we're not saying anything about the working conditions, right? But women had kind of, it was very similar in the sense it was a losing battle to get involved with, right?
So it was not even the first losing battle you've got involved with? Amazing. Do you ever think sometimes? Do you ever think, everything I touch turns to shit? Maybe I just shouldn't touch things. Do you ever think that, Brianna?
But women had kind of been in this situation in the game industry for 30 years where we just kind of let sexism wash over and we're not saying anything about the working conditions that we faced.
Well, so it's more about saying something and not caring about the output? Is that what it is? At least you feel better for having said something?
Every single woman I know that was involved in Gamergate, like, paid an extremely heavy price. I don't work in the game industry anymore. But if you look at the outcome of having that very...
Did she even... That Revolution... Was it Revolution 45? I can't remember what it's called. Revolution 60, that's the one. Did it even come out anywhere? I guess it must have. It's on Steam. Holy shit, maybe I should do a... Maybe I should do a cover of that. Maybe I should play that on a gaming stream or something. One day, maybe. But like... I'm not in the gaming industry. You made one thing that looks kind of hideous, no offense. Bit hideous. Doesn't seem to have amazing reviews. $9.99. Wow. Deliberate mixture of two games as opposed to a unintentional mixture of two games. Okay, amazing. Amazing.
Very caustic fight. If you look at IGN, there are many more women reporters today. If you look at GameSpot,
hang on a
there are
second.
more women reporters.
Yeah, the only thing that seems to have gone well out of Brianna's involvement in Gamergate is that many more people now, know who Brianna is. Interesting. Very interesting. Shit. It's almost like you can get involved in losing battles for your own end. Nasty. Nasty.
I don't work in the game industry anymore. But if you look at the outcome of having that very caustic fight, if you look at IGN, there are many more women reporters today. If you look at GameSpot,
hang on a
there are
second.
more women reporters. Yeah, go ahead.
So first of all, you know, do you think you can ever escape the shadow of Gamergate? Like, that's what you're known for, isn't it?
I think it's always going to be something, you know, on my Wikipedia. I think I can make a decision of how much I make it part of my public persona.
Yes, you can. So it's interesting why you keep harping on about it.
Well, if that makes sense to you, like, I'm working on different problems these days, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
I think Rui believes her shtick about the gaming industry, but I think she is incorrect about it. There are less female devs because of interest. Maybe, yeah. I mean, it's still a bit more of a stereotypically male pastime, but I guess you get a lot more female gamers nowadays. But that's also just how it is. I mean, it's like things like sexism, they do kind of seem to be turning around slowly in a lot of ways. Like, what was Brianna Wu ultimately going to do to, like, end sexism in the gaming industry? Like, really nothing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, just to come back to the point.
Boycott Brianna's game. I mean, did anyone fucking buy it anyway? How many... Wait, can I get sales figures for, like... for this game? Steam stats? I don't know how to find out, like, how many people bought, like, a shitty game that no one bought. No one played, should I say. Oh, okay, there we go. 4,023. So, on Steam, at least, Brianna's game, 4,023 souls. I mean, it's an awful lot more than I have sold, like, albums, for example, but I'm literally nobody. I didn't jump on Gamergate like a fucking sociopath, so I'm kind of a nobody. 31.5% positive reviews. Oof. Ouch. Anyway.
You know, it was a very difficult fight, but it did have positive impacts in the game industry. Look at the number of games these
Did it? Were those things because of Gamergate? You need to show that. You need to show that.
days that have women protagonists. Look at the number of women that are being hired at studios. We're not going up the
Is that because of Gamergate?
ranks as quickly as we should, but there's more of a
We. Hey, all of you women watching, how do you feel every time Brianna says "we" about women? Oh man, that's the revolutionary game that's supposed to be Mass Effect but better. Apparently, I actually don't know Mass Effect, so I'm not really sure. I know what Heavy Rain is, mostly from the Jason thing, but
an effort out there to diversify game studios, which is good in my
Well, if that's the case, let's have a Gamergate 2, and we'll have more positive impacts off the back of it, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. But, you know, it's not like feminists started game.
why not? Aren't you a consequentialist? Wait, she might not be.
Gamergate either.
To actually cause more sexism, maybe. She's not showing anything she's saying. Like, why should I believe that Gamergate caused, like, less sexism in the gaming industry when, in general, like, gender equality is just something that we're kind of moving towards in a lot of ways?
You kind of reacted to a really horrible situation, right? So
Reacted to a horrible situation. There's never any, like, agency on the other side. It's pathetic. It's weak. And again, this is the kind of shit. Like, I don't know how much she's, like, spoken about all this kind of stuff since, but it's just nuts.
I got involved with it because my friends were getting bullied out of jobs.
If Brianna Wu gave a crap about women in gaming, why not sponsor a woman developer? Well, those things behind her are not going to pay for themselves, you know what I mean? She has expensive shit to buy. She has to fill her house with, like, tats and, like, neon signs and all this other stuff, and have, like, a way too big house for 2 people because it's not like her and Frank are having kids. Wonder why that is.
Sure, you know, I don't want to sidetrack into like have a massive meta conversation about Gamergate.
Yes,
you know, I think though that, you know, I'm not like a Gamergate guy. I was never like, I thought it was a bit cringe, some of the stuff that was happening.
Yeah, what's she trying to say exactly? Like, oh, because of this pathetic fucking failed boycott, there's going to be less transphobia? Like, no, that's not going to work that way. If you're going around making out that everyone that disagrees with you on this Hogwarts thing is a bad person, that's not going to cause less transphobia. That's nuts. What is this analogy at all? What is this?
However, I do think that there was fundamentally a core point on the other side of the argument that's often missed. And I think there's some people that did have a level of concern with, you know, ethics and those extremities. But I'm sure you'd admit there's some people that did have a concern of the ethical questions of games journalism and, you know, pay for play reviews and stuff like that, right?
There's actually a friend of mine who's a mod on the Gamergate subreddit on Kotaku in Action. He and I have had many conversations on the phone. He's somebody that went into journalism for a career. He genuinely did want to talk about ethics in game journalism, and I know him well enough to do that. He's not a feminist. He's not really sympathetic for, you know, my point of view, but he's a good person. So I wholly agree with that.
Sure. So I just want to go back to a question I asked earlier because I don't really feel you answered it. So what specific harm is caused by purchasing the Harry Potter game?
So I think that trans people...
Money into JKR's wallet / money into the wallets of the people that purchase the license. If lots of people buy the game, more people are more likely to purchase the license. More money into J.K. Rowling's pocket. And somehow that causes trans harm or something. I don't fucking know. Truthfully, it does not fucking matter. J.K. Rowling could never make another penny for the rest of her life. She'll still be able to speak. She'll still be able to more or less do what the fuck she wants because she is wealthy beyond any fucking means. You know what I mean? There's nothing you can do to someone like J.K. Rowling at this point. It's a complete foregone conclusion. You know what I mean? That's a bit rude saying they aren't going to have kids. Couldn't Frank get a womb transplant? Hey, maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if Brianna's on the fucking list for one. Fucking Lily Alba, that shit. You know what I mean? Filters ago. Wow.
People have asked, I think that they've asked the wider gaming community to stand with them in a dark moment. And I think that
Harry Potter game.
So I think that trans people have asked, I think that they've asked the wider gaming community to stand with them in a...
Asked? asked, if you ask something, if you ask someone to do something, the implication is they can say no. You're saying if you buy this Hogwarts Legacy game, you are anti-trans, more or less. You know what I mean?
A dark moment. And I think the decision to not stand with them in this moment basically weakens any kind of sense of solidarity in the
Only if you're a fucking child who cares about that kind of shit.
Gaming industry with the trans community, who again, I think we would agree is under a unique level of legislative attack right now. So
don't even be fooled by stuff like this. These people love to talk about the like vast array of like anti-trans bills. Sometimes they'll state a number of how many bills there are. They'll never really go into much detail, if at all, about these bills. Often, plenty of them are about things like trans people in sports or like trans kids, which trans people are very much not in unison on. I mean, I'm here saying that trans women shouldn't be in women's sports, that we probably shouldn't be transitioning kids. I'm trans, am I not? There is not a consensus on those things. So can we really call half the bills that we call anti-trans? I don't personally think so. So don't even stuff like this. Don't let these people get away with this shit. Oh, hi, Reverse. Antagonist ideas. Well, Brianna Wu is getting on my wick because I have a bit of a history with the Hogwarts Legacy shit. Like this was one of the things that really started setting where I am today in motion. You know what I mean?
Basically, it is saying, I think it's a stance of the gaming industry saying we don't stand with trans people. I think
no, that's stupid. That's ridiculous. It's like testing people. You know what I mean? Like, it's nuts. It's like the language of abuse is what this is.
That is the damage.
So the harm
Oh, hi, Cam. I hope you're good.
is people are going to be upset.
I love it. I love it. I love Chud is doing pretty good here, and he is a lot calmer than I would be in this kind of conversation because, like I said, this Hogwarts Legacy shit, like, it irritates me even thinking about it. How ridiculous this shit is, and it's supposedly on my behalf for my benefit. It fucking isn't. People buying Hogwarts Legacy. My partner bought Hogwarts Legacy. My partner's sister bought Hogwarts Legacy. Nothing happened. I'm not any worse off than I was by any stretch of the imagination.
No, I think that it weakens the amount of, I think there's psychological harm for trans people.
There doesn't have to be. There doesn't have to be. Get over it. Just get over it. Just get over it. There's going to be people that have different values to you that are going to be selling products. People are going to buy those products, irrespective of how they feel about your group of people or your point of view that differs from their point of view. It's nuts.
Yeah, people being upset. That's being upset, isn't it? That's not.
No, it's not. I mean, so that's exactly like saying, you know, if somebody in like Mississippi, I grew up in Mississippi, right? There's a really great sense in Mississippi that, you know, it's like saying you're under attack and that's just all that it's about. Like it's about more than that, right? It's not about being.
See his face. What is she talking about? What are you talking about?
That's just all that it's. You know, it's like saying, you know, if somebody in like Mississippi, I grew up in Mississippi.
Right. It's so long to fucking say anything as well. Just the faces. Every time I press it, it's like a different shade of what the fuck are you on?
The amount of, I think there's psychological harm for trans people.
Yeah, people being upset. That's being upset, isn't it? That's not.
No, it's not. I mean, so
yes, it is.
That's exactly like saying, you know, if somebody.
So psychological harm. It's not being upset. It's like, let's see.
In like Mississippi. I grew
like being from Mississippi. 18 likes. That is not enough. Please like the stream. By the way, check the links in my description. You can super chat via, what is it? Streamlabs. That's the one. You can also buy some music or listen to some music that I have made. Sometimes I play it before streams, so I don't know if it sounds good to you, then fucking check it out. You can also join my Discord. I also have Twitch linked. You get adverts and shit, which is probably annoying, but I am monetized on that as opposed to YouTube, where I am not. Anyway.
grew up in Mississippi, right? There's a really great sense in Mississippi that it's like saying you're under attack and that's just all that it's about. Like it's about more than that, right? It's not about being upset. It's about feeling that your power is diminishing, right?
What does that even mean? You feel like your power is diminishing. Okay. I'd be upset too if I was from Mississippi. Yeah. Oh my God.
There's a very real feeling of that.
Oh no, it's not being upset. It's actually more than that, and it's a real feeling.
Okay, I'm struggling to see this as anything beyond essentially people's feelings being hurt. And I just think that if we're going to, say to people, I think less of you for purchasing the game, we ought to be able to point to a more substantive harm that's being caused for engaging in, that particular action. And I just don't feel that there's enough there. I think saying, hey, I'm not going to buy the game because Jacob Allen's a transphobe and I don't want to support that is okay. But I feel like there's this real browbeating that's occurring that just isn't justified, particularly when you seem unable to point to anything substantive, or material.
Yes, we're just kind of thrusting it in just a little more. Just a little more, just starting to pierce the skin, you know what I mean?
I feel that the amount of power that transgender people have is not something that is unimportant, right? I think that solidarity...
Not something that is unimportant. Do honest people usually use, double negatives like this? Discuss, think, I don't know. I
feel that the amount of power that transgender people have is not something that is unimportant, right? I think that solidarity with the transgender community, I think that translates into people voting.
Yeah, but people buying Hogwarts Legacy has nothing to do with solidarity with trans people. Listen, if you actually want to show solidarity for trans people, then just befriend a few of them. I don't know. Make friends with some trans people. Make them feel like there's someone out there that has their back. This kind of shit. You've got 2K plus subs on YouTube. Why aren't you monetized? Most likely because of my content. I'm not amazing at editing out all the swears, and I haven't got around to paying for some kind of AI-based thing that you can do it with the script or whatever, where it reads the fucking words and that. I don't know. I've been resubmitting my application pretty much every fucking day for 6 months at this point, so I'm not sure. But hey, I don't know. If it gets to a point where it's feeling a bit ridiculous and whatever, then I don't know. I'll come up with some other means to get some money. Who knows?
I think that translates into who gets hired in the game industry. I think that translates into, if people out there...
Who gets hired in the gaming industry? Are you more likely to get hired in the gaming industry if the person that interviews you looks you up and finds that you've been cyberbullying people for buying a video game? What are we trying to say? This is what happens when the likes of Rue try to explain their thoughts to someone with an ounce of critical reasoning. Yeah, exactly. And this was the thing. I uncritically accepted so much shit. Not necessarily from someone like Brianna Wu. I knew Brianna Wu was for fucking years. I saw her Encyclopedia Dramatica page. But when you actually scrutinize some of this stuff, when you sort of think for yourself and don't just trust someone else to have done the research and to have interpreted it in a way that makes any sense whatsoever, all of this shit is so dumb.
See trans people thriving and being heard and those concerns being treated seriously, that means that younger kids that may feel gender dysphoria, they're going to feel more brave about finding out who they are and pursuing that.
That's a good thing. We want more trans people. We don't want more trans people. Being trans is meant to be a last resort, is it not? It's the kind of thing that it's you ask leftists and stuff like that. King Critical's monetizing for some time now. Yeah, the difference between me and someone like King Critical is that King Critical's brain is a lot more attached to his mouth. By which I mean, I swear and I say all kinds of crazy shit that probably is not helping me get monetized. Whereas he is a lot more professional, if you know what I mean. I mean, I don't know. I'm still trying stuff. I have a few people. I think the best way is probably getting one of those text-based editors where it reaches the where it reads the it transcribes it for you and you can edit it from the script that it comes up with, if that makes sense. Because then you can like find words and stuff. I think that would be the best way. Have I thought about doing a mug club? I have not, to be honest with you. Scripted versus unscripted on a monetizing perspective. Yeah. I don't know. I will keep trying, but who knows?
That with a medical professional, I don't think this is a minor thing. I think this is extremely important. Treated seriously. If people out
what, she wants people to cave to trans people so that trans people will be more emboldened to be trans, will be more emboldened to get jobs? What does that mean? Sounds like they'll be more emboldened to keep bullying the fucking internet every time someone says anything that they don't like. You know what I mean? Would have to be a blue IKEA Tumblr. Yeah, that'd be fun. I would love to get sued by a massive corporation. Today is a curly versus non-curly hair mashup. Yeah, my hair's like that. The top of it is not curly and the underneath very much is. It's just how it is.
Out there see trans people thriving and being heard and those concerns being treated seriously, that means that younger kids that may feel gender dysphoria, they're going to feel more
what's annoying is is there going to be any accountability taken for the fact that you seem not to have considered the reverse? Like, what happens if this shit doesn't work? And that will that necessarily mean less of what you're saying? You know what I mean? Because it's like a risk. It's not just you do this and hopefully it'll work out for the best. It's the kind of thing that can backfire, and it did.
Brave about finding out who they are and pursuing that with a medical professional. I don't think this is a minor thing. I think this is extremely important.
And this is all over some people deciding not to buy a video game. You think people are going to look to this and step forward as a trans person and all this stuff? It just sounds a bit delusional.
I think that if you have the gaming...
I got pubic hair implants. Yeah, I did. I never cut my pubic hair, and it literally goes all the way down my legs, obviously.
Community, standing with a community, I think that does have consequences. I was playing the newest Call of Duty, for instance, and one of the things I do is my husband isn't good enough to play online.
I can't be bothered to keep skipping back. She's talking nonsense. Utter bollocks. Like, the lengths some people will go to avoid taking accountability for the fact that they got up to dumb shit and it didn't work.
So I will often play private matches against bots with him. One of the things I noticed with this version of...
He plays Call of Duty against bots with him. Why not just play online? Even if you're shit. I don't know. I used to occasionally play like Call of Duty with like friends and stuff. We'd still go online. I would always suck. I'd always be like at the bottom of the fucking... the thing, whatever happened, because I'm just not good at those kind of games, but like... At least I tried,
Of Call of Duty with bots is they have the kill logos at the bottom, and part of them are gay pride flags and part of them are trans pride flags, right? They specifically coded it so that was the flags of some of the bots. It's a minor gesture, but I can tell you as a game designer what is behind that. It's thinking we're trying to signal to the community that
that we want your money, Oh, Call of Duty has the gay thing in it. We all got to buy Call of Duty. It's got the gay thing in it. It's about money.
If someone kills you and they have this gamer tag, like, don't get mad. This is just a normal thing. These people are part of our community. It's just normalizing and making people feel welcome. In the case of Call,
making people feel welcome. Meanwhile, if you go on online things, every
You're
5
anti-trans.
seconds, there's someone screaming the N-word or calling you a faggot or something. Okay, bro. Well, thank you, Radio Blobfish. Thanks for following.
Call of Duty, that's good business, right? Like, the more people you sell games to, the bigger your pie is.
I mean, sure.
I wonder what she thinks of, like, woke capitalism. I wonder if she's down with it or not. Like, rainbow capitalism, that's the one.
But then you're introducing a cynicism on the part of the business in doing that. But then you're also suggesting that they're doing it for the right reasons. It seems
I think it's both. I think it's both. I think that the game developers that work there genuinely feel that way. I mean, I know.
Did her nose always look like this? This is kind of... It's like... I can't really do it because my hands are doing it. You can't see. Has it been like pinched in like aggressively? Wait, hang on. Oh no! I know where I can check. I just want to see if like that it looks like that on an old picture, because I've definitely got one somewhere. That sounds bizarre. Oh, here we go. Here we go. It's a little pinched. It's a little pinched. Hang on. I think the tip is like wider though. So they used to have like a wider tip on their nose, kind of like mine. There's a bit of a little ping pong ball on the end of my nose. I think that's been like pinched in, and then the nostrils were already quite narrow. Anyway. Just forget I put that on stream.
The trans friends that work on the Call of Duty team. But I think there's a business case as well. It's aligned incentives basically.
Yeah, I mean, I am much more cynically minded than you, and I would just have assumed that, it's the business kind of decision to put that sort of thing in there to appeal to that demographic. Like, for example, in one of the Call of Duties, he had it could be male, female, and non-binary.
Sure.
And that seemed to be, either a gesture towards that community, or it's bait. It's bait for these YouTubers that
Wait, is it suddenly going to be bad because it's non-binary? I wonder.
Then make tons of content about, it's gone woke now, right?
So
I mean, what he's saying is possible. These are just different reads of a thing, right? Like,
did for a second, I'm going to admit, for Cold War, I was like, I don't think we were talking about non-binary stuff during the Reagan administration. But I can tell you genuinely, as a former game developer, I know people on these teams. This is how it works. Games reflect the opinions of the people that make them, right? So you've definitely got people that identify as non-binary on that team, and they're having a design meeting, and they're saying, I would like to see this represented. Look at women in Forza. I know you probably didn't notice this, but for Forza forever, you could only drive as a male avatar. And then I think it was in Forza.
Yeah, it's super important in racing games because you totally ever see what your character looks like, ever, that you can be a woman. You know what I mean?
Horizon 3, I believe, they added women.
Chud doesn't talk like this, he won't get in a word. Yeah, the other thing is, this person is incredibly sensitive. A little, how do I put this nicely? A little bit delayed in many ways.
Drivers, right? That didn't happen serendipitously. There was a woman on the team that said, hey, this would be cool. We could include everyone else here. And it hurts no one. It just expands the pie. So I think you're being far too cynical there.
Sure. I just, it seems like...
Wow, amazing. That totally justifies shitting on loads of streamers for playing a video game. That totally justifies the trans community trying to put the general population over a barrel over a fucking shitty video game. And then it not working.
Pretty blatant commodification of minority identities. It seems pretty explicitly to be that. I'm very skeptical. Well, because I just don't see, the idea that there's a trans person working there and they say, I want this to be included, and they include it for that reason. I just am very cynical about that series of events occurring. And I think it's
what evidence do you have that backs up that position? I mean, I've just told you that, I think it's unquestionable there are a lot of trans people that make video games.
Well, hang on, you said women's rights, and you're saying this is unquestionable, right? I mean, I'm sure...
Yeah, based on what? It's not like she backed up anything she said. Oh, a woman worked on Forza and asked for women drivers. Okay, source. Might be true, might not be. No one is obliged to take anything you say at face value. And quite honestly, the fact that Chud is choosing not to is the sensible move, bearing in mind who it's speaking to.
Sure that trans people work at these companies, but that doesn't necessarily mean that...
Here's my take on representation. Is it representation, or is it narcissism of the user? You know what I mean? Are people that desperate to be represented so they can enjoy the game more? Or do they just have to have everything center around them and they have to play as themselves? Because I know that's true of me. I fucking loved Saints Row just for that. You know what I mean? I love being a narcissist and making my Saints Row character look like me, but more attractive. But I'll admit it. That's the thing. The other thing about representation is, when it comes to more nebulous shit like non-binary, I wonder how much it's representation or inspiration. So non-binary doesn't really mean anything much by itself. But then there's a character in a TV show who is non-binary. Is that representation or is it inspiration? You know what I mean? Anyway.
that they have a big say in what happens, and that the things that they want to happen aren't then invoked in a cynical, commodification focused way, right?
I think it's aligned incentives. I think that I don't think it's cynical. My experience in the game industry with a lot of the white dudes that work there is
with the beans and the rice and the making a not very good game and then quitting altogether.
I think most people would agree that the game industry is a place that has some real issues with sexism. My experience has been that most of the men there want to do the right thing. They're just not really sure how sometimes. And if someone
do the right thing, I mean, they're probably there concentrating on their job for the most part. They're not sat there like, oh shit, how do I do the right thing? How do I make sure I'm being like socially conscious and stuff? I feel like that's how she wants people to be. That they're constantly having a panic attack over not being woke enough. I'm not sure. I struggle to see reality in almost anything this person says.
Someone brings you a good plan, I think if it doesn't hurt other mission objectives, I think more often than not, they're likely to implement that. So,
but if it hurts mission objectives,
sure.
So there could be things that are suggested that would be the right, correct, progressive thing to do, and they're not going to do it because it would harm the product or harm the company, right?
Right.
So they're only going to implement the things that are going to benefit them, making it a cynical commodification decision rather than doing the right thing.
Or maybe to technically...
Yeah, on some level, it's always going to be about that. If there's something that would be the right thing, but is going to hobble your game sales, then forget it. You know what I mean?
Expensive from an engineering perspective to rewrite something.
The right thing is to make a fun video game that everyone buys. Yep, agree. Agree heavily.
Or redo something. I think that's something that's occasionally the progressive.
I've been so disappointed in the most recent Saints Row games. IMO 2 was perfect. What console did you play it on? I've only ever played Saints Row 2 on PC, and no matter which PC I used it on, every time it ran like utter dog shit. And it also looked like super ugly. But like, I don't know, what I've actually experienced of it, I can see how it's a good game. I just couldn't have a good experience for those reasons. Like, I really enjoyed 3, but like I said, I got really into like the character creation thing. Like, I'd never really messed around much with like making myself in a video game and like making myself but like more feminine or whatever, because Saints Row 3 came out when I was like 21 or something. It was before I was even trans, you know what I mean? I was still obsessed with that kind of thing. But yeah, like the actual game itself is not amazing. Like I played 3 and 4 recently, like 4 in particular. 4 is one of those games where it's like, I'm not really having fun with this and I don't know why. That's kind of how I felt. It felt like a lot of the time in Saints Row 4, you just, at some point inevitably, get put into a situation where you just have to stand there and just mow down like hordes of enemies like brainlessly until it tells you to stop. I just found that really boring. I liked sort of jumping around the place and collecting little orbs and stuff. There were some fun things in 4, but it just wasn't very good. And then my partner is one of the only people in the world that likes the recent Saints Row game they made. I tried playing it, and like after about 10 minutes, I was like, this is fucking dog shit. This is the worst thing I've ever played in my life. Yeah, the new one, and like all the cutscenes are like embarrassingly cringe. Like all this like what people think is like millennial humor or like Zoomer humor or whatever, but it feels like it was made by like 45-year-olds. When I saw Steve Urkel and Saints Row, I said I'm out. Oh, is that the most recent one? Yeah, the most recent one is fucking dog shit. And like, from what I remember, like trying to control the cars and stuff like that, trying to drive, like, I watched my partner who like, she can't drive anyway. And when she drives in video games, she fucking sucks at it. And I was like, oh, okay, it's not the game. It's just, you just can't drive in video games. But then when I tried it, it was like, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. I like driving games as well.
Community will ask for a change, and I'll be thinking about it as a game developer point of view. I'll be like, oh, I think you don't understand how much work that would be.
It just seems like the company is implementing things when it suits them for a progressive kind of line. But then if it's too much effort or too much money, they're going to say no. So functionally, it exhibits as a cynical move to...
That's how every game feature is made. That's how everything in a game is decided. It's what are your priorities? How much buy-in can you get from the team? I mean, it's the engineering cost. That's everything. I mean, when I was a game developer, one of the first things I learned is you set bronze, gold, and silver tiers. And, you know, the bronze things are the things you must have to ship the game. Then if you can get to silver, those are those like things at the bottom. Gold are the things. It would be really nice. This would be some great polish. Like a good example, the fish that are in
The one Saints Row game that's like the future. Yeah. That was Saints Row 4. That game would be better if it had online. Hey, maybe. Yeah, Saints Row 4 was okay. I've never loved a Saints Row game because I've either not really been able to play them properly or they're just not that good.
Commander Shepard's cabin in Mass Effect. That's not something you need to ship that game. It's just a nice environmental detail, right? So I just think it's like one of those nice spices that makes a game a little bit better.
But these companies are just putting in the easiest to implement ideas that cost them essentially nothing. And if there's anything substantive that would needed to be done, it would take development time, money. I cannot imagine that they are going to, spend time and effort to implement that. It's just going to be the easy stuff that placates these employees and allows them to present it as more of a progressive product, right? That's what it seems like.
Can you give me an example of what's something that would be a really expensive feature to implement? What would something like that be for you?
Well, the thing is, you're the person that's saying there's these trans people that are suggesting these ideas. So,
sure.
I mean, I don't know what they're asking for, but there's, it seems that they're asking for like a little flag and they'll implement the flag, and they'll ask for, the non-binary identity and implement the non-binary identity because that's simple and it's easy.
Yeah.
I mean, is there more that they're asking for? Because that seems very little to actually include in a game.
Well, they're asking for one thing: never make a Harry Potter game.
I think that really I think that's kind of the point here. It doesn't take much to make the trans community happy in a game.
Doesn't take much to make the trans community happy? Yeah, no, you're right. Just bend the knee. It's not that difficult to bend the knee. It's not that difficult to go up to Brianna Wu and say, "You are a woman."
So the trans community is happy with having a non-binary identity in the Call of Duty game?
I can't speak to that. I'm not the person to ask.
Oh, suddenly you can't speak for that. What was it, 2 seconds it took you to walk that back? Shit.
Take much to make the trans community happy in a game.
So the trans community is happy with having a non-binary identity in the Call of Duty game?
I can't speak to that. I'm not the person to ask about non-binary stuff, but I think that generally speaking, having trans
Oh, hi Hazard. I hope you're good.
representation in games is good. I don't know, how do trans people feel about, say, poison?
Trans representation in games is good. Why? Why do we need trans representation? Especially if it becomes like crowbarred in and forced, and you have some weird scene where, for no apparent reason, your protagonist in a driving game suddenly has some conversation where someone's like, "Oh my god, you're trans?" Or like they have to take their HRT before a race or something. Like, what? Ooh, excuse me.
Trans representation in games is good. I don't know, how do trans people feel about, say, Poison in Street Fighter? I know there was a whole discussion about her being sexualized, but or Bridget, like in Guilty Gear. I mean, I don't know.
I tell you, okay, I mean, even though it feels like you're trying to get me to explain your position, I do have an idea of what you could do. You could have a main character in a AAA video game title that is trans, okay? And that is core to the story, that is core to everything. So, thinking of like something like Apex Legends, they've just introduced Catalyst, which is a trans character, but it is extremely like, to the sidelines. It's extra lore. There's a couple of voice lines that reference it, but it isn't central to their character, and the gameplay doesn't, in any way sort of rotate around that.
There's plenty of trans representation in gaming. Like, there's lots of games where your character isn't explicitly anything. You could very, very easily be a trans character in your game. You know what I mean? There's loads of games. Like, we were talking about Saints Row. That's the kind of game. You want to be trans in Saints Row, then there you go. You want to decide that your Stardew Valley character is trans, or your Minecraft character, or what the fuck ever. Go the fuck ahead. Because it's kind of a blank slate that you can project your own shit onto. There's a character in the new Dragon Age game about their whole storyline is just how they're non-binary. I think I've seen some cutscenes, and it seems really awkward and weird and completely not what anyone plays video games for, except for narcissists, I guess. Hope you're good, E-Raya. Hi, Purple Wellies also.
That identity. So, I cannot imagine a AAA game publisher is going to authorize or allow a trans character in a like a AAA game, right?
So in the case of that, this is a game type that is not very story based. It's a team based game, right? Like your loadout and your character's abilities are front and center. That sounds like exactly the way it should be done. I mean, I couldn't tell you the backstory for any character in that game, right? I would say.
Yeah, the Queerly Bee stuff. I don't know where to find that because that's another thing I really wish I could like go back and look at. But if I was gonna go back and look at it, I'd have to watch someone else like talking about it. And with stuff like that, like no disrespect to like anyone like Chud or like Harmful Opinions or anyone that I saw making videos about it at the time, but like I much prefer watching originals and having my own takes on it. There's no point in me just saying the exact same things as like Chud Logic or like Harmful Opinions or anyone else, you know what I mean? So I might cover it one day, but it wouldn't be that great because I'd have to be watching someone else's thing, and a lot of it would be, yeah, I basically agree with what he's saying because the Queerly Bee thing was fucking ridiculous. And I'm glad they didn't cave. I'm really fucking glad. I don't know if anyone ever uses your pronouns anyway, so who gives a shit?
I think the game industry overall, this isn't really exclusive to trans people. I think it's also true for gay people and women, that I think there's a real problem with writing marginalized characters in a way that feels true. And is done well. I think, as you say, sometimes it's done in a way that feels like pandering, or at least it does to me. And I think that's a side effect of the diversity problem in the game industry. Just because it's so many white dudes there, it's white men trying to write something that isn't their experience. It just doesn't come off as very believable. So I agree with you. I think it can be pandering at times.
Okay.
Was she involved in Sweet Baby Inc? I can't remember. Brianna Wu interview. I can't remember. Maybe she wasn't. I can't remember. I really hate stuff like Sweet Baby Inc. I mean, why would you spend money making sure your game is woke instead of just using that money to make sure your game is good? You know what I mean?
Sure. So going back to kind of the original thing, I guess, because like I say, I feel like we're still, around the edges on it, but I still don't feel, apart from this idea that people are going to feel hurt by gamers not standing by their side, I guess I just don't see a reason to like browbeat or morally condemn someone or say you think less of them for buying this game, because I just don't think there's a direct harm that's being caused. Finally,
we're getting back on topic. There isn't a direct harm. There is nothing she can say. They know the term tilt. I'm not sure. Hope you're good, Jan.
I just don't see it, I guess. I
think that's where our difference of opinion is. Like you, in your view, if I'm saying this correctly, you don't think that basically the solidarity and
Dead by Dawn. I don't know anything about this. Hang on. Oh, there's a Pink News article about it. Amazing. There we go. Negative trans stereotypes, including your neck doing this, I guess. Transphobia. Trans voice actor says she was tricked. Wow. Oh, this was not super long ago, like less than a year ago. Not long before I started streaming. The unknown, malevolent, shape-shifting. If it's shape-shifting, why would they care about, like, how it looks? I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. Statement appears to have been deleted. Okay, so they really stand by this statement they made then. They really feel like that expressed them. Bullshit. Put physically at risk by the developer's choice. If you're trans, everything has to be about how, like, there's going to be harm on you now. Like, ridiculous. Crazy. What the character's final look would be. What are we even trying to say here? The skins themselves were never the issue. Lack of communication was. Oh, so they should have just told you that it was going to look that way, but you don't care that it looks that way? This seems really dumb. What did the devs mean by this? Did they mean anything by this? Did they mean anything at all by this? Why does it have to mean anything? Why do we have to lose our shit like this? Transphobic caricature. Whoever's saying this is probably stupid as fuck. I've already witnessed instances where these skins were used for transphobic bullying. Like how? In what way? Show us some. This malicious content and attitude is unacceptable. There are bigots everywhere and unfortunately are not going to go away. Oh, they're actually being somewhat reasonable. Vaguely. This is retarded. Let's keep watching.
And giving political cachet to the trans community in gaming, I think that has value. And it sounds like...
Do they want trans actors hired for horror games or not? I have no idea anymore. I need to use the Brummie accent. Why? Why do I need to use the Brummie accent? How is that because that person's from Birmingham? I don't know, am I?
Like, you don't think there is value there?
Well, no, wait, hang on. You are saying that in a very interesting way. I'm not...
Sure.
The way you phrase that makes it sound a very specific...
To correctly. I think that's where our difference of opinion is. Like you, in your view, if I'm saying this correctly, you don't think that basically the solidarity and giving political cachet to the trans community in gaming, I think that has value. And it sounds like you don't think there is value there.
Well, no, wait, hang on. You are saying that in a very interesting way. I'm not...
Sure.
The way you phrase that makes it sound a very specific way. All I'm saying is I don't think the decision about whether or not you buy this game should have weight on your...
I did see people on Twitter posting the pic of the character to talk shit. Fair enough. I'm sure plenty of trans people saw that and immediately dropped dead because that's how we're treating every single thing that is not 100% how we want it to be.
Moral character, right? I think you can ask for a boycott. You can say, hey, I don't really like this game. This is why I don't think you should buy it. And that's fine. It's the issue of saying you think less of someone or, making them feel bad for making that decision. That's the issue.
Yes, it's a guilt trip. And guilt tripping people is not okay. It kind of says things about you. Like, it can be a very abusive behavior, depending on how it's done. And these people never get held to account for it. It's fucking annoying.
That I have, right?
Sure. I hear you there. I understand what you're saying. Let me put a hypothetical out there.
This UR at IRL. I don't know. Don't know who they'd be speaking to. Don't know what any previous interactions were like. A lot of these idiot trans people on like Twitter and stuff very much give as good as they get. So it's very difficult for me to feel bad for any of those kinds of people.
Okay.
So let's say we're living in an alternate universe here.
Okay.
And Harvey Weinstein...
All right, I can't actually express my shit. So let's start analogizing. Let's start making things up that aren't actually the real situation. If you can't talk about the thing, making something up to talk about isn't going to help you anymore.
Did not go to jail for any of the things that he did. And he was still in charge of Miramax. And a new Miramax film came forward, and survivors of sexual
Are we comparing J.K. Rowling to Harvey Weinstein? Is that the analogy?
Abuse for asking you to boycott that film.
I think it might be. Holy shit.
Do you think that would...
Someone who thinks that woman should mean female is being equated with fucking Harvey Weinstein in this analogy. I don't get it, man. I don't fucking get it.
Be a moral failing for someone to not...
I can answer this easily. I buy 20 tickets.
Sure. You would. Okay. For me, I would hear that and I would respect it and I would stand with that community.
You would hear it and respect it, but you were saying how terrible people are if they so much as think about buying the fucking Hogwarts Legacy game. How it's like a moral failing. How it's a character test. You're full of shit. Holy fucking shit. Amazing. Amazing.
Here's the issue that I've got with all of this, okay? Fundamentally too. Right? We do not want to get into the position where we're assessing the morals of the people that make the shit or have a role in doing what we enjoy.
Yeah, it's very anti-worker in a way, isn't it? And like shitting on like ordinary people who just want to buy a game they like. Aren't these people meant to be leftists?
because we'll never be able to enjoy or engage with anything, because there's always going to be people you could find at the highest levels of these companies that are going to have pernicious views that you're not going to agree with. And you know, this is like the reason that the ethical consumption of no ethical consumption of capitalism is a thing, because partly the reason for that is you don't have control of supply chains, and you don't have control over the ideologies of the people that are making the content.
Yeah, in a way, isn't a boycott something that leftists should really be careful using, because it's not very pro-worker, is it? In a way, not liking the stream is a moral failing. Okay, that I do agree with. Thank you. Please like the stream. Make sure you check the links in my description. Anyway.
Content. So do you not think that by this logic, we're going to be having to assess what people at the head positions of these companies have done wrong, and therefore we can't support them?
So going into my analogy, I hear what you're saying. I think if you took my analogy to the
Going into my analogy where J.K. Rowling and Harvey Weinstein are on the same level,
nth degree, and you said, I'm going to boycott every single film where anyone working on it has ever had a sexual misconduct allegation, I agree with you. That would be a crazy position to take. It would be very extreme, and I would not suggest that. What my contention is here is, just like Harvey Weinstein is a symbol of sexual assault and abuse and these rotten power dynamics that exist in the workplace for women, I think J.K. Rowling has unfortunately risen to that level as a symbol. And
this is sociopathic. This is sociopath shit. It's like you think that people should have the same fervor against J.K. Rowling as they might against Harvey Weinstein, a fucking, what was he, a rapist, sexual assaulter, all kinds of bizarre shit. I'm like dumbstruck, man. That's nasty. Couldn't think of someone more similar to J.K. Rowling than Harvey Weinstein? Fuck me.
I think
J.K. And again with like the dehumanizing as well. While she's a similar symbol for transphobia as Harvey Weinstein is for ignoring sexual boundaries. This is like a little bit sickening, actually. Just feeling a little bit queasy by this right now. Jesus Christ. Listen, I feel like I have to kind of atone for some of my previous woke stances and like wokeisms or whatever, but I was never down with this shit. Fucking hell.
Has unfortunately risen to that level as a symbol. And I think
J.K. Rowling has done as much harm as Harvey Weinstein?
I think that as a symbol, she is
as a symbol? You really are like trying your best to convince people that people shouldn't see J.K. Rowling as a person. That's what it comes off like. Harvey Weinstein was convicted of a crime J.K. Rowling was not. Yep, true.
Like,
that needs to challenge the whole assumption that J.K. did anything wrong at all. Yeah, well, I mean, he is kind of tacitly doing so by standing up against this this whole thing. You know what I mean? This whole boycott shit.
This is to A as A is to B. I think
Harvey Weinstein raped people, right? Like, he's literally...
I'm not saying it's the same. I'm saying...
You're comparing them. Comparing people is not far off saying they're the same, at the very least. You're encouraging people to at least put them in the same ballpark. Nuts.
If the symbol of sexual assault, if you're asking me to pick someone that's the person that stands for that the most, it's...
Oh yes, pick someone that everyone can harass for the next 5 years. Nice.
Harvey Weinstein. I'm saying in the world today, if you're thinking about who is the poster...
And like, the other thing is, not only are we equating J.K. Rowling and Harvey Weinstein, we're equating perceived transphobia with like rape, sexual assault. It's bizarre. I don't get it, man. Like, who's worse? Someone who's racist or someone who has raped people?
Poster child for transphobia. I think it's J.K. Rowling.
Poster child for transphobia. And that's not even true anyway. Like, I wonder what this person would say to convince someone that J.K. Rowling is actually transphobic.
That doesn't mean she's done the most harm.
Yeah, and J.K. Rowling has been like sexually assaulted as well. Like, oh man, it's sick. It's gross.
I just think she's the most widely known public figure that kind of personifies that.
That's nasty. That's fucking nasty. And it shows me that this person is willing to like dehumanize someone.
I guess the other issue I've got with this too is you talk about the Miramax thing.
Sure.
Do you think that people select or know to that level that they're going to know this is a Miramax film? Because normally it's about direct. Yeah. So there could be a situation, much like the Nestle thing. Well, they've got some disagreements there, but you could be in the theater and it's a Miramax film you didn't realize, and I think you could easily consume that content without knowing that, right?
Yeah.
So
if you have, as I said earlier, if you haven't had your consciousness raised on this situation, I don't have a problem with that, right? It's the people that understand it. The point of a boycott.
Sure. Wu's not different from Destiny and Co.'s rape analogy. Yeah.
Is to get political power, right? Is to get solidarity. I think it's to try rally the troops, basically. And as I said earlier, I think the trans community has so few tools available to them.
This is still a stupid argument. It doesn't matter how many times you make it. So because you don't have many things you can do, does that mean you should do something that is patently stupid? No. You could do nothing. You have the choice, when a game like Hogwarts Legacy appears, to ignore it. To be like, okay, I don't really like J.K. Rowling, so I'm not going to personally spend money on the Harry Potter thing. But we couldn't just do that. Nuts.
Like, if you said to me today, like, Brianna, what would be your preferred way to get political power for trans people in the United States? It would not be this boycott.
It's a good job, because this did the fucking opposite. It just made us look stupid.
I would love to see someone raise, a few $100 million and build a true transgender civil rights organization in the United States. Trans people have Lambda legal, and I would love to see someone raise, a few $100 million and build a true transgender civil rights organization.
I mean, you could probably make a decent contribution to that kind of thing if you wanted. It's all very well everyone saying, oh, I wish someone would do this. I wish someone would do that. I wish that more fucking trans people would turn on fucking webcams and start talking out against the kind of bizarre shit that people are constantly doing, supposedly for our own benefit. But no one did, Mary. So I do it.
When she talks about writing marginalized characters, she forgets that most of them are just written to be regularly. I'm big fighting game fan, for example. Black characters are written just another other character as they should be.
Yeah, true. Thank you for the $1, Asami Yamazaki. Hope you're good.
In the United States, trans people have Lambda legal, and that's just about it. You really need to be building.
I don't know what Lambda legal is. Lambda legal. American civil rights organization that focuses on lesbian, gay, trans, blah, blah, blah. What? No, I don't want to give you money, you disgusting freaks. Identity documents. Where progress is 1. Wonder what these people were saying about Hogwarts Legacy. Yeah, seems like your average wokoid organization that probably was alright back when gay people had like real issues, but now it's all just whatever shit we do now. I don't fucking know. I don't care.
Something at the scale of HRC to be able to push back on these bills. This is not the preferred way to fight. I just don't.
Human Rights Campaign, aren't they the ones that were doing the I Am Jazz shit? Fuck them too. Disgusting.
Don't see there being enough interest.
Trans people have all the former gay rights groups and the ACLU backing them. Yeah, true.
By cis people to fund something like that at the scale of HRC to be able to push back on these bills. This is not the preferred way to fight. I just don't see there being enough interest by cis people to fund something like that.
The alternative is act like a cunt on the internet. Wow. Amazing. And what about when it backfires? Why have we not shown any consideration before jumping on this ridiculous campaign for what might happen if it doesn't work out the way you want it to? And technically, what you've actually done then is be the ones creating harm for trans people. If people ended up buying more copies because of how much they hated this boycott shit, because how much they hate being told what to do.
I mean, it just goes back to kind of my perspective earlier, which is it feels like we don't have access to these tools, which we know are more effective. So we're going to engage in something which, in my opinion, not only is ineffective, but also might be detrimental, self-detrimental.
Yes. These people should be showing like accountability for the fact that they might have caused more sales of the game for the fact that it's just another nail in the coffin for fucking trans people, which 2023 felt like that fucking year, quite honestly. I remember pretty well. I remember watching the needle start turning around the other way. Whatever the fucking saying is. I don't know. The pendulum swinging back the other way. There we go. 2023 was like where it really started happening, where people really started getting fed up with like the sports shit, the kids shit, things like this boycott. Like, there's never, who's been accountable for this shit? Who has stood up being like, I was like pushing this Hogwarts Legacy boycott and it went wrong. And I feel like I fucked up because of that. Has anyone been doing that? I don't think so.
Detrimental. Like, yeah. Do you think that there's a positive impression on the calls for boycotting that have come out of like the online trans community?
I think that, Keffels had a video out a
Just say yes or no. I hate her so much. I hate people that talk like this.
While ago that I think that, Keffels had a video out a while ago that I really...
Keffels, by the way. Yeah, great. Let's go to Keffels. The true paragon of the trans image being okay.
Really, really, really agreed with. And she was talking to tender queers online. And I think...
During a Coke phase, no less. The Keffels Coke phase. Let's go.
I think that the trans community on Twitter...
Keffels went through this phase where she was like on Coke like all the fucking time, saying all this crazy shit about like tender queers and stuff. It's the only time I ever found her funny, like ever.
Is very frequently a poor spokesperson for trans issues. Now, the reason
Wait, what?
think that the trans community on Twitter is very frequently a poor spokesperson for trans issues.
Yeah, like I don't know why you're saying this when you support the boycott. Keffels is at least anti-boycott. That makes it even more confusing as to why she's talking about this then.
Now, the reason I think that is I think a lot of trans people are living in trauma, right? They're in the middle of transition, they're poor, they're young.
The Keffels have a non-Coke phase. That is a fair point. I remember that specific thing. Like it was, I don't know, I can't remember too well.
I think if you look and know people that are 10 years out from transition, they don't act that way, right? So I think that the trans community on Twitter...
Okay, we're trying to make ourselves sound like we're any better because we've been trans for longer, blah, blah, blah. Brianna Wu is no better than any of these like trans Twitter freaks. I'm sorry. She's one of the worst ones even. Like the way this person acts on Twitter and then goes around talking about, I'm a normal trans woman. Like, fuck off, bro. You're not. I'm not saying that I am. I'm not saying I'm better in that respect. But this person is fucking dumb. Hi there. I don't know if you'll see this, but I just subscribed to you because you popped up on my FYP from a Vorsh video. I'm a conservative, but I'm grateful you stand for kids. Oh, thank you for watching Radio Blobfish. Thank you.
Twitter has been a very poor vehicle to express these opinions. Part of why I'm here today is I'm trying to be a more thoughtful, reasonable, even...
Reasonable with all the shit you were saying here? Reasonable? That flies in the face. This person is incapable of being reasonable. All we're hearing for the millionth fucking time is that this person has no self-awareness to speak of.
Tempered proponent of this view. And I think that's sorely lacking. And I think that one of the very first priorities of the trans movement really should be setting up some sort of apparatus to let the media ask questions to them, to put out white papers, to...
That's not going to fucking happen. The whole point is that these trans people can't be honest about anything. The whole point is they can't. They'll never fucking do it. Vorsh did a video on No, I put a video up about Vorsh today. I would be very, very amazed if Vorsh ever found out who I am, quite frankly. And that's fine. He doesn't need to know who I am. I think he's gross.
To basically have a public face because Twitter is not serving anyone well.
The problem I've got, because,
Still uses Twitter to this day. Still embarrasses herself on the daily on Twitter. But okay. Sure. I'm glad to see some of the genesis of this fucking normal trans person shit. But this person isn't a normal trans person. They wouldn't be normal if they weren't trans. They aren't normal that they are trans. No one who's trans is particularly normal. It's not a very normal thing to do, to be honest.
I feel like sometimes you're saying something in a calm way, but the message behind it.
One of the first priorities of the trans community should be have a clear, precise definition where it makes someone trans. You might think so, but the truth is they want the very opposite of that. Because then you'd have to exclude people. And we're not big on the idea that you should exclude anyone from being trans if they decide they're trans, even though, like you're hinting at, there is no definition for trans.
I don't know if you realize like how egregious it sounds, but you're saying like you would think less of someone for buying a game. Like that is a moral condemnation of the person, right?
I think that that's a hard question. You know, I think
It's not a hard question. Fuck off. Maybe if I change my profile pic from a deer to a horse, it'd notice you. Hey, maybe.
one of my weaknesses as a person, and I think this comes from, I think it comes from two factors. I think
I hope we get the fake humility without actually admitting anything wrong, despite the fact that literally what she was saying just here kind of flew in the face of everything she's been doing, which Chud is correctly hinting at.
Came from a very conservative family, and I think I didn't become a liberal until I was in my 20s. And I also think that, for me, I've been sober for 20 years, and one of the reasons I was able to get sober is I kind of fall into some black and white thinking.
Mate, are we talking about Hogwarts Legacy, or are we blowing smoke up our own arse? Stop the humble bragging. Just answer the question.
Sometimes it's like you're either clean or you're not. You're doing the right thing. You're not. You're working out today or you're not. And I would fully admit this is something I know about myself. That I do occasionally fall into that kind of black and white thinking, which is where that tweet came from. Yeah, if you want to have a discussion, then
What? I've been sober because of my black and white thinking. I still do black and white thinking. Holy shit, man. Holy fucking shit.
And I would fully admit this is something I know about myself. That I do occasionally fall into that kind of...
Occasionally. Does that mean before our 20s, Brianna, we was conservative? Fuck knows. No idea. Makes sense. A lot of these people do tend to swing wildly between political extremes, but I don't know.
Black and white thinking, which is where that tweet came from. Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't me. It was my black and white thinking. Holy shit. This man's ability to keep a straight face. Oh my god, just keep playing.
If you want to have a discussion, then maybe there's a more nuanced position to take there. I'm open to that. But
my sobriety opened my eyes that I should give money to Kevils to help with their drug problem. Yeah, true. What is she on, man? You're sober? Well, it hasn't helped you. Holy shit.
I do believe at the end of the day, you are the...
I've always confused Brianna because I've started to agree with her a lot recently, but I still remember she was in Gamergate, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, she's trying to kind of turn around because she can see the writing on the wall for a lot of like the trans stuff. But the problem is her kind of approach is like kind of promoting this idea of like normal trans people. And she just is not capable of that. Like, you see her on like media appearances nowadays, and she's like one of those Sims characters where they keep flipping expression when you're like making a character and stuff. And like the shit she says the right thing sometimes, sure, but she'll say things like that she won't publicly talk about people like Aaron Reed, when Aaron Reed is a massive fucking liar, you know what I mean?
Decisions you make. You are the standards that you hold yourself to. I try to hold myself to high standards and frequently fail in my life. And I would hope for many people out there, when it comes to standing with the trans community, they would want to hold themselves to high standards.
It seems like she won't even defend this like boycott shit. It's all like, yeah, I'm being a retard. She might as well like try to ask her what she's doing with this. And I'm like, oh, I'm just being retarded. You know what I mean? I just thought I'd say a bunch of shit that I don't believe with my black and white thinking. Like, fuck off, bro. Come on.
Standards too.
Wu's a rat abandoning the TRA sinking ship. Yes, true. I apologize on behalf of Mississippi for... Oh, no problem. I'm sure there's good things in Mississippi. It's just that Wu here is not one of them.
I think there's just I just don't perceive people's consumption within reason. I mean, if they've got a bunch of slaves at their house, obviously that's different. But, I just don't think one's consumption choices say that much about them because they're so far removed
True, based. Agree.
Moved from the production.
She's bad at manipulation. Well, someone like this, they're probably used to manipulating other trans people. Like, trans people tend to be easier to manipulate. Like, often they've been through trauma. Often they have not had ideal, like, upbringings, either abandoned or been abandoned by their families, stuff like that. It makes people a bit easier to manipulate because someone's being nice to you, you know, that's like fucking gold dust to you if you're not really experienced much of that. Someone like Chud Logic, this shit is never going to work on. And I don't know if she has any kind of playbook for talking to like normal people. You know what I mean?
I mean, the concept itself of, you know, they purchased rights from someone who's like a bad person. Like, people are so far removed from that conception, you know?
Sure.
And even if they've got some insight into it, I just don't see how you can say you think less of someone. You can disagree with them. You can say, you know, I don't think you should buy the game. I disagree with you, obviously. Especially when also you've got this position about the Nestle boycott. Nestle have inarguably done more harm than J.K. Rowling has in the world. And you're saying, well,
yeah, why is she not pushing that? There's way more things you could be sounding the alarm about.
it would be too hard to avoid Nestle products. So, you know, why bother with that?
By the way, I actually hate the argument I just made, but I'm 99% sure that someone like Brianna Wu has at least once criticized like a conservative-leaning politician for talking about trans issues instead of something that she deems more, something more of a priority. You know what I mean?
I didn't say why bother with that. I try to avoid it when I can. I'm saying I think there's a difference in buying a luxury good and trying to avoid buying, feed formula for your baby. I think
but other companies make formula, but you can easily avoid it if you want to, right?
True. Just have a look up different fucking brands and find ones that you like. Not hard if you're that way minded.
Sure. I mean, again, I try to personally. It's not about that. It's about their use of water rights and some of the things they've done on that.
It just seemed like in the panel you seemed quite dismissive of the idea of like avoiding Nestle products. But yeah, okay.
I hope I didn't come off as dismissive with that. I consider Erudite a friend, and I would never want to minimize her point of view.
Oh, Erudite was there. Holy shit.
On that. I consider her as friend, so I just want to respectfully disagree here. I think the Nestle situation is...
Don't respectfully disagree.
We got Erudite, we got Bonabox. Can't remember who this is. Is it Straight Raid maybe? I can't remember. We got Wick, we got Brianna Wu. Nice. It's a throwback. It was 2 years ago. This is what people were doing 2 years ago, going on these shitty panels.
Drastically different for multiple reasons.
Go hard.
Nestle, there's the water rights issue, there's the transnational issue, there's the fact that, they have a monopoly over so many consumer goods. It makes it truly difficult to escape Nestle, no matter...
No, it doesn't. Not at all.
Okay. And I hope you can hear me here. I genuinely hear where you're coming from. It doesn't sound ill-reasoned. I don't think you have ill intent here. What
does that mean? I don't think you have ill intent. Everything about her.
Really do hear where you're saying. I think there's a valid argument for it. And just because I don't share it doesn't mean I think you're a bad person for feeling that way.
It's so preposterous, man. It's so fucking preposterous. She's not even trying to defend any of this shit. Oh, that just came from my black and white thinking, did it? Oh, okay, great. Getting sober really helped you, Brianna. Fucking hell. Might as well just start fucking doing heroin.
One of the...
That's a joke, by the way.
Things I learned running for Congress is, it really changed my personality because I went from someone...
And now we go on a ramble about something not related. Again, amazing.
Whose politics were mostly stated online to having to go out there and talk in the real world to people. Yeah, I estimate I had like over 30,000.
She's like a filibusterer. That's what she's like. She just filibusters this shit. Oh, thank you so much for watching Radio Blobfish. I hope you're good. Have a good day.
Conversations with strangers as I was running for office. It really, really, really made me aware that people of good faith can look at situations and come to different conclusions on things. And
yeah, obviously. So why is it that someone who comes to the conclusion that there's nothing wrong with buying a Hogwarts game, how come they're a bad person then?
It gave me personally a lot more, I'm a lot more willing to kind of agree to disagree with some of my more conservative people in my life.
This is fucking genius. Is it DK that does his edits? What the fuck? Please direct all thumbnail complaints to Queeman. Wait, was it Queeman doing the editing? Either way, this is fucking genius. Amazing, amazing job.
Over some things. Yeah, I think that's something all of us could do a lot better at.
Okay, yeah, no. People are saying that you're buttering me up. I'm not sure what you're
I'm not buttering you up. I'm not.
But
hey, you want to find
She fucking is. She fucking is.
something to scream about? We can do that.
You are pulling his fucking leg. Just admit it.
But I don't.
Well, actually, you know, there is one thing I wanted to highlight. You were very praiseful of my coverage of Lav. But if I recall correctly, there was a little tweet in response to a streamer known as Xanderhall that was more critical of my...
Brianna Wu replying to Xanderhal. Hand to God, first time I watched his work, I thought it was a hilarious parody, like I was watching a Kaufman routine. No, that's actually him. Wow, amazing. Chatting to Xanderhal. Oh yeah, of course. Because it was her idea to get all these like streamers and stuff on fucking Progressive Victory, including idiots like Xanderhal, Alec Gunter, Nominal Naomi, etc. It's like a verifiable who's who of the worst fucking people on the internet.
My character and my content. Do you recall sending that tweet?
I do not. Please remind me.
I think it was something along the lines... I can't remember the name of the person you compared me to, but you compared me to someone, and it seemed to be like a criticism of the kind of content that I was doing.
Oh.
Yeah, Andy Kaufman, as in like, this is all performance art. I don't actually think any of the shit I'm doing. I'm being like deliberately ridiculous, like Dax Flame or something. Like, did he actually turn to his friend and piss on him and shout P-fight, thinking that that would be like japery, be like fun or something? You know what I mean?
I swear I'm being really honest here. I mostly know your reputation on Twitter.
Oh, she's like, she's sweating a bit.
And let's be honest, your username is a little, kind of puts you in a category. And most recently, I watched all of your Lav videos and absolutely loved her getting church justice arts.
Wait, so she became more amenable to Chud because Chud talked about someone she didn't like? Really? Really, bro? Suris was involved in Progressive Victory. Fucking hell. My partner likes Suris. I have no idea why. I think he's fucking dreadful. He seems like a dumb fucking person. Like, actually very dumb.
So that's honestly the main impression.
Lay it on the table. What's your impression of me?
You seem like someone who... I think you have a very specific point of view that, generally speaking, is sympathetic to kind of the status quo of things. And okay. But I think you're thoughtful about the way that you put those ideas out there. And like I said, it's not always wrong. With Lav, I thought you were dead on with most of the things she said.
Yeah, because you don't like her and because she's like agenda critical. Like, really, bro? Really?
Okay. It feels like in this conversation, you're going out of your way to be very kind of intellectually generous and kind, I would even say. But when I wasn't
This is my real personality, man. I'm not bullshitting.
But when I wasn't looking really before, you were typing, this chud guy, I tell you. I don't know. It just feels a bit, like you're trying to placate me in some way. That's what it feels like.
No, I'm trying to be an adult in the conversation.
Okay.
For this, because like, as I said, I think it's been a lot of...
Have we still made any, like, statements as to why the Harry Potter boycott was a good thing? All she's really said that I feel about this actual subject is, what is it? Well, we don't have many means available to us, so this is what we're doing. Like, she's not even trying. She just wants to waste people's time and so they just come away being like, well, I don't really know, because I don't really know what the fuck she was talking about the whole time.
Screaming online, and I don't think it's been helpful for anything.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I was hoping we could have a more fractious conversation. I'm disappointed. I'm sure that the Gamergate type friends I've got, like Short Fat Taku, are going to be very disappointed in this interaction.
Wait, isn't he a chaser? Why would he want that?
So, yeah, you haven't really given me an opportunity to kick off.
Maybe it's possible we just don't.
This is weird because pretty much everything she said would have me kicking off, quite honestly. But hey, I think he understands that you can't just like soy out at someone like this. So hey, I get it, man. I get it.
Disagree that widely on this issue, man. I mean, we agree it's a non-optimal battlefield for the trans
He has not substantiated anything on why this was necessary. She's acted like they were forced into this. Why? Why? Jesus. Oh, no problem, Radio Blobfish. No problem.
Trans community to fight on. I strongly agree with that.
Yeah, she has somehow aged backwards. And I don't know what happened to her hair around here. Was she wearing a hat beforehand? I don't know. Oh, he's a reform chaser. Oh, okay.
I think our difference of opinion is over. Like, we agree that this may or may not be effective. I think that this community to fight on. I strongly agree with that. I think our difference of opinion is over. Like, we agree that this may or may not be effective.
We agree that this may or may not be effective. Why does she talk like this? We agree that there could be a million different things within this thing we're talking about. We agree that these are the options. That doesn't say anything. Stop.
I think that we agree that
I don't use filters on anything. I feel like this is probably the root of the Delulu. Yeah, probably. It's very easy to use kind of beautifying filters and end up crutching on them. You know what I mean? I used, like, when I used to use Instagram and stuff like that a lot, I'd use, like, the filters on there, but I tried to stay clear of the ones that obviously, like, change, like, your eye shape and, like, your face shape and stuff. You know what I mean?
that it's impossible to avoid any kind of consumer consumption of things that are problematic. I think our contention is I think it's over the course of action that we are choosing to do with the information. I think we agree on the fundamentals here.
So why did you do any of the shit you did then?
I don't have an issue with the boycott in and of itself. You can boycott anything at any point at any time, right? I think it's the way that it's invoked and done is very important. And, you know, I just think very fundamentally, I don't like the idea of browbeating people for making like the wrong consumption choices. I think there's a better way to go about it. And I think the way it's been engaged.
Saying absolutely nothing. Yeah, it's just been like filibustering almost. Just here's a dumb fucking anecdote about nothing really to do with anything. Like, I've watched the Queeman confrontation of Brianna, and I could tell, like, it was driving him fucking insane. And it would be me too. If you're trying to get answers from someone, the absolute last thing you want is to ask someone a direct question and for them to come back being like, well, to answer this, we have to start in 2005 during the first phase of Gamergate, blah, 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 blah. Like, shut up. Just answer the fucking question. Like, she's either politician through or designs to be a politician through and through, something like that.
Engaged in has kind of turned people off. And
yeah.
I shaved my head and grew a mustache and I look like Tomfoolery's twin brother. Unlucky.
You know, shooting yourself in the foot situation, I guess, is my final position on it.
Are you also very malnourished?
And I think, I'll say it again, I agree with you that trans Twitter is the worst possible spokesperson.
You're part of it. You're part of it. How can you say that? How can you say that and behave the way you do? What a fucking liar. What a Weasley little liar, dude. Anyway.
For trans issues. Yeah, I'm old enough to remember when gay people in the 90s really started to professionalize and get serious about civil rights. And the HRC took a huge role in that. They were massive. And what did they do? They got gay men to donate large amounts of money to build a professional political organization that was out there pushing back on anti-trans...
What, the HRC? So I guess the fruits of their labor nowadays is Sarah McBride reading books to children about how someone has a girl brain and a boy body, and then explain to kids that the reason they're trans and the reason people thought they were a boy was because that's what society said. And then I talk about how that to me is like tantamount to grooming, and some fucking loser speds out on me about it.
Anti-gay legislation, and they raised money and they started donating to the right politicians, and they held award shows for the politicians that stood by the community, and they professionalized that push for civil rights. And I'm here to tell you, like, this Twitter bullshit is not going to win any battles that are important. I don't see many people with...
Sorry, her face is annoying me too much. I can't look at her anymore.
They're trying to professionalize and move in that direction in the trans community. And I think until you do, it's just going to be this hell that we're in.
She's like She epitomizes every problem with like trans shit that she fucking does. Thought grooming for sure. Thank you. I'm glad someone fucking understands what I'm talking about with this shit. Christ. Drives me insane sometimes. People want to like argue the toss about whether people should be using the term grooming and stuff like that. It's like, why don't we talk about how this person is fucking lying to kids and hasn't ever really addressed it as far as I know since? Like, I don't know. I guess I'll look into it. Maybe she has, but like, I mean, I don't know. People that defend that kind of shit, I'd have thought they'd have that ready to go. Well, no, she kind of did this, but has taken it back. No, we've like thoroughly normalized lying to kids about like trans shit. And I'm supposed to be okay with that? I don't know, man.
Okay. Speaking of Twitter bullshit, when you said that watching my work, you thought it was a parody, a hilarious...
Maybe use thought grooming. Yeah, to be fair, I could do that. To be fair as well, though, I do that all the time with people like Jammy Dodger. I fully think he's a groomer, but like not a sexual groomer. You know what I mean? So I do actually do it pretty well. But I shouldn't be in a position where the slightest thing that someone finds wrong, because I didn't clarify that one single fucking time, that means that someone has to fucking snake out on me. You know what I mean? I shouldn't be in that position. Like, people like that just need to identify themselves so I can fuck them off out of my life, because I'm not interested in that shit.
Parody.
Yes.
And like you're watching an Andy Kaufman routine. What did you mean by that exactly?
I mean exactly that. I was watching something you were saying. I thought you were pretending to be this right winger dude, and I was like, oh no, you really are. That's who you are. That was exactly it. I thought you were a Brit pretending.
What? He's actually a right winger. What? What are you saying?
To be American.
Wait,
sorry.
No, hang on a minute. What do you mean by the Andy Kaufman routine pretending to be a right?
I know how these people... You know what? Maybe I need to be less clear in that case, so that the trash can take itself out. Maybe I need to be less clear and just call people groomers indiscriminately, so that fucking losers that don't understand what I'm talking about and just want to have a go will announce themselves and I can just fucking block them. Maybe that's better. Maybe that's preferable, even.
Right winger. I'm not a right winger, by the way, just to be clear.
I know. But
okay.
you sometimes align with some politics I think are a bit reactionary.
You see what I mean? Like, you think here's a right winger because he sometimes aligns with some politics. It's so vibes-based. It's so pathetic. This is the same kind of shit that I have to deal with. Because I speak out against, like, trans shit. I must be a right winger then? Like, by what sense? I don't know. Fucking right-wing parties have I been voting for all my life? Because I seem to remember my life going differently to that. I don't know.
Okay. Like what?
So one of the things you said on the live stream is very confidently, you said there were 3 videos I remember you made.
Yeah, because people like Woo are like vibes-based as fuck, ultimately. And they encourage that kind of mindset. You see that plenty in like trans circles. The amount of people that will just like look through like the titles of my videos and be like, what, you attack trans people? And I'm like, well, there's a lot more to it than that. But like, that's the way a lot of these people think. I mean, to me, it's a symptom of being a bit of a fucking retard, but hey, I don't know. And if people aren't smart enough to understand my shit, then fair enough. You're not smart enough to watch me. Go watch someone else. I don't fucking know.
About this. And one of them, you were
disagrees on a topic equals right wing. Yes, exactly.
Like, oh, well, people can accuse me of being misogynist. I kind of like that, actually, or something to that effect. And I was like, oh, one of those guys.
What's that got to do with being right wing?
And I thought at first you were pretending.
This is vibes based. You go on vibes. You're just trying to pretend there's anything more to it than that. You're vibes based.
To be, I thought you were a Brit that was doing an American impression in that second.
Okay, look, whilst you're here, I'll explain this all to you. It's very simple,
sure.
Okay?
Go for it.
So I've become frustrated with kind of like trite expressions of obvious progressive sentiments, okay?
Sure.
So, I feel like it's kind of pointless to repeat racism bad,
so obvious that literally, hey, you made fun of this biological female I tried to put, this means you're rational. Yes, exactly. Jesus Christ.
Sexism bad and stuff like that. But then when you say opinions that maybe don't quite fit within the progressive framework, people will get very angry with you. So my perspective is leaning into it is the most effective way to deal with that, rather than have to worry about people bleating at you about doing a wrong think over this particular issue or something like that.
Sure. I think that social media as a whole has been a very big trap for people. I don't think tweeting is activism generally. And I think
The way she behaves on Twitter, I think she thinks that tweeting is activism. I'm sorry. I'm not buying this either.
That I think that it's taken what used to be like going out and canvassing and donating and knocking on doors and trying to get people elected and speaking at the state house in favor of bills. I think it's taken all that energy into something that's generally performative.
Like
online.
ratioing probably isn't very effective, is it?
I don't. I think it feels good. It could be good for building up a brand. And I think it can be good for putting out public messaging on issues. But I think overall it has been a quicksand for a generation.
And yet you continue to use it. This sounds like it should be coming from someone who doesn't really engage with social media anymore because they're fed up of it. But that's not true of this person at all. Like, oh God, man. Oh, she really makes me feel a bit sick.
Okay. So I'm going to be honest.
I would agree with you on a lot of that.
It feels
just like she spent the last 2 years since this continually acting like a fucking slacktivist on Twitter. So why would I believe any of this? I care more about your actions than your words, believe it or not.
the energy of that tweet has dissipated in this conversation, and now...
Could it possibly be I just wasn't that familiar with your work, and now that I'm talking to you, you don't seem like that bad a person?
You're not that familiar, but you'll pop off at people. Again, vibes-based. Bit of a moron.
And I'm sure after I get off this stream, I'm going to get a million tweets from people going, how dare you go on Chud Logic stream? Don't you know he did X, Y, and Z? And they'll show me some clips you did. They're terrible. And I'll come to the conclusion you're a terrible person then. So how about we just put a pin on it until that happens?
I mean, didn't something like that happen with Destiny?
Yeah.
You know, did you ever speak to him on stream?
You know, I reached out to Destiny multiple times saying I'll speak to you about anything. I'm happy to do it. I've actually watched quite a bit of Destiny.
Well, I've got to be honest. I've heard Destiny's debating another person called Rob Knorr, conservative. So, you know, I think he's dodging people on both sides of the aisle at the moment. But yeah, I mean, that would be an interesting conversation. I'm sure people would like to see.
I think Destiny is an interesting person because he's clearly got an immense level of talent. Like, the reason I watch his show, it's like he's certainly entertaining, right? But I also think that a decade of streaming and being online this much has warped his instincts into...
That actually is a very good take. And all this slacktivism, how meaningless and only functional to YouTube really is. If you want change, you need to turn the PC off and get in the streets. Yeah, true.
Just kind of being an anime villain at times. Like, he just acts like a child sometimes. And it's entertaining to watch, but like, there's a really good person there.
Probably true of Destiny. Do I want to hear this kind of criticism come from this person?
Trying to get out, and they just can't because the format of this is just designed to bring out all of his worst instincts, I feel.
Well, I get a lot of stick for sometimes defending Destiny, so I'm going to avoid doing that in this conversation, and Destiny can defend himself in a live conversation with you if he so
I don't
wishes
feel like
to.
I'm attacking him. I'm saying I think there's good there. I think he's can be a jerk sometimes.
I would totally want to have a conversation about anything. I'd talk to fucking Wu for sure. I tried to talk to her about the fucking insistence on just randomly shitting on people in her podcast for no apparent reason, when it's like there's so many other people that have probably said far worse things than whatever fucking Ray Alex Williams said about fucking Brianna Wu. Even that kind of criticism is too much. Oh yeah, anime. Yeah, I heard that too. Weird. Coming from someone playing video games at 50. Hey, I don't know. Whatever you enjoy is whatever you enjoy.
This is the thing, right? I think that sometimes, because you state something calmly, it feels like it's not an attack. But calling someone childish is attacking someone, right?
Sure. Well, it's how I really feel. I mean...
Can dish it out, can't take it. There we go.
Sorry.
Is Brianna Wu 50? I think Brianna Wu was like 47 or 48, so not far off.
Sorry.
I mean, look, it's fine if that's how you really feel.
Sure.
But I think that sometimes, you know, you're like the other thing as well, like I said earlier, to me, it's a moral condemnation to say you think less of someone for engaging, you know, in a certain act. But you seem to, I don't know if you changed your mind on that, but, you know, you seem to...
I think it's fair to quibble with that. I think it's fair to quibble with that. And yeah, as I said, I can kind of... I've told this story about myself before.
I swear some people think Destiny's a genius, not because he possesses an average level of intellect, but because he talks at 1,000 BPM. Maybe. I mean... I think I remember people making that kind of criticism a lot. Oh, you talk fast. And to me, it felt like an avoidance of things he actually said. I don't know. He is someone who at least would like back up the kind of shit that he says. Like, I don't know, I used to like his takes. I'm sure if I listened to him now, there'd be takes that I still like, but then at the same time, it's like, well, you're also kind of gross in a lot of ways. So I don't know. Don't know how comfortable I am listening to you anymore. So, hey.
This is genuinely true. So,
and the other thing with Destiny, I haven't watched him much in a pretty long time. The last time I watched him, he kept calling someone a Nazi, and I was like, this is rotting my brain. There was another thing I watched where he was debating like Trump supporters, and he just seemed to like start flipping out with them like almost immediately. And I'm just like, what is going on here, man? What's going on? Calm down. I remember him actually being capable of like having conversations where the other person wasn't being ridiculous. He wouldn't either. But it kind of got past that point. I don't know. People change. Maybe people are good at keeping a facade and then it starts slipping. I don't know. Think what you want, I guess. I'm not defending Destiny.
So when I was growing up in Mississippi, I'll never forget this. We were having a big, I think it was Thanksgiving dinner. All my relatives are around, and someone Jewish had moved into my neighborhood. And I'm so young, I don't even know what a Jewish person is. Like, I'm literally that young. And someone starts going into all...
Yeah, but how young were you, Brianna? How young exactly were you? Were you this young? Was it this part of your life? Was it when you were this old? Or maybe when you were this old? Which age was it? I want to know. That totally wasn't just a conceit to bring that picture up again.
All this nonsense about having someone this Jewish in the neighborhood. And I remember sitting there and I'm looking at
the Ryan Beard thing. I might look at it. I've mostly been watching, to be honest, like people like Chud and like Queeman and stuff. There's such a hell of a lot of stuff to watch, and like I don't actually get that much time to watch YouTube videos, to be honest with you. But hopefully I'll see it at some point soon.
The adults, and no one says anything in that moment, and I can just tell it's wrong what's going on, and the adults didn't say anything. And that's a pattern I saw over and over in Mississippi growing up, like basically terrible racist things happening and just people sitting it out. When to me, it's a very moral decision to...
Oh, she's such a good person. You're such a good person. Wow. Hey, everyone, did you know that Brianna Wu is a good person?
Stand up and do what's right in that situation. It's just how I'm built psychologically. I'm not saying it's right always.
You've got a lot of stories, haven't you? You've got a lot of stories about things.
I do.
He's so fed up. I am too. There isn't much left of this video. I want to watch the ContraPoints Blair thing because I really regret not watching it sooner.
Okay. There's one thing that you're missing, though. No, there's just one thing that you're missing.
Yes.
Who asked?
Trying to get my point across effectively.
Okay. Okay, look.
Amazing. You want... Listen, I'm sick of her face, but okay, sure. You can look at Brianna Wu again. I don't know why you would want to, but here you go. Here you go. Reverse wants to have a wank to Brianna Wu, so we're all watching. We're all watching this with Brianna Wu's actual face. I'm sorry, that was a joke, by the way.
I just feel like it's very difficult to come at you with a sort of frustrated or angry energy because the way that you talk and put yourself across, it's very calm, very relaxed. But then you have little jabs here, jabs there. And then when it's pointed out to you, you just go, well, that's just how I feel about it. But you are like, attacking, but just doing it in a calm way, right?
Well, I feel like you're doing the same thing to some degree, so...
Well, yeah, because, this is getting very meta, but obviously, I want to get a bit spicy with you, right? But it's
medical edge. Sure, yeah. Sure.
difficult because if I am angry or shout at you, I look crazy because of how calm you are. It's very like, your engagement is very passive-aggressive, and I'm trying to find opportunities to be...
Oh, thank you. I would hope so, to be clear. Although, I don't know. I mean, she looks good in, like, stills sometimes on Reason stuff because of all the filters and, like, the other shit, you know what I mean?
Aggressive, right?
Okay. Well,
it's frustrating.
Like
it's frustrating to deal with, is what I'm saying, okay? You're a very frustrating person to talk to. As pleasant as it is to talk to you, it's very frustrating to talk to you, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I'm sorry that you find it frustrating.
No, even that, you're saying sorry. You're saying sorry to me. Like, what on earth is going on? Jesus Christ. Is this the future that liberals want?
You know what?
Oh, the gurning, that's what you're into. Oh, okay, fair enough. Listen, didn't take you for that kind of man, but it's okay. I am kidding, to be clear.
Chud Logic, you are the worst person on earth. I can't stand you. You're a misogynist. You're a transphobe. Clip that and ship it. I mean, I don't know what you want me to do here.
Well, I don't know. Obviously, I had in the back of my mind this tweet, and having read it now, but then when the way you explain it is so calm, and I thought this at the time when that tweet was a dig at me, right?
I'm sorry.
What? But now you're okay. Now you're apologizing again. This is
No,
what
I try to have productive relationships with people, generally speaking. I have no interest in a public fight with you.
Okay.
And I certainly never thought I'd be on stream talking to you about that tweet. I probably wouldn't have sent it. There it is. If that upset you, I genuinely am sorry.
Okay, but that's okay. Now there it is again. You're saying,
Sure.
if that upset you, right? It's not a case of being upset. It's a case of you said something here about me, and then when you come on stream, it's the calmest explanation. And I'm sorry, I didn't know your work that well.
But it's true. I mean, this is how I really feel, man.
Okay.
Nothing to say. Maybe you pop off a bit too often. Should chill a little bit on that. I don't know. You could probably say the same about me, to be fair.
Okay, well.
It's a good place to leave it.
Yeah, we can leave it there. Obviously, I'm not planning to monitor what you're doing. Okay, just to be clear. But if there's any tweets about me, I'll be watching. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks for coming on. Is there anything else you want to say? Any messaging you want to get out there?
No, I'm good to go. I can go get on my Peloton and get my Sunday started.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming on, and who knows, we might speak again sometime.
Sounds good. Talk soon.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Man, that was such a frustrating conversation because because you're a coward. How am I a coward? What on earth is that fucking comment? What the fuck am I supposed to do? If I start fucking shouting at her, I look insane. I look crazy. You've got to match the energy of the person.
I feel this. I'm sure whenever I've spoken to someone that someone in my chat doesn't like, it's all like, whatever. And I'm like, it's not really what I'm here to do, but sure. Never believe John is acting in good faith, even if they finally tell the truth. Yeah, true. There we go. Brianna Wu, Hogwarts Legacy. I don't know. What am I supposed to take from shit like that, man? I don't know. I guess I'll be looking forward to the Brianna Wu Blair White debate if that's what's happening. And it's kind of fortunate that that's apparently what's happening, because we got a debate with Blair White as well. Crazy. Not with Brianna Wu, but we got both people separately, and then it's gonna happen. All this yapping, and Wu didn't elaborate on why buying Hogwarts Legacy is direct harm. Nope, she didn't, because she can't. There is no direct harm. They're just full of shit. And truthfully, she probably said, well, it's possible. She said a whole bunch of shit she didn't even believe. To keep in with the trans community or something. For all I know, that's the case. She might not even think that there's anything wrong with buying Hogwarts Legacy. You can never tell. You can't trust people like her, which is the most obvious fucking sentence ever fucking uttered, I guess. But hey, there we go. How are we doing? We should like the stream. I think you should consider liking the stream. Maybe checking the links in my description. You can listen to some music I've made. You can buy it on Bandcamp or check it out on Spotify. You can donate/super chat on Streamlabs, read out your messages. You can join my Discord. I'm also monetized on Twitch. You can check that out. Attempted to woo and it didn't. Yeah. Fucking hell. See, I remember Wu coming back on the scene before that. And I'd hear stuff she's saying and who is that? They actually sound quite intelligent. And I'm like, Brianna Wu. I just thought she was some fucking lolcow, some fucking schizo freak that was freaking out in Gamergate. But there's only so far that shit goes, because unfortunately she kept opening her mouth after then and kept kind of outing herself as nuts. And I was forced to think, well, is this someone that actually is seeing some problems here, or is it someone that's fucking saying the right thing to try and appeal to people? Who fucking knows anymore? About the only nice thing I can say about someone like Brianna Wu is I guess she saw the writing on the wall before plenty of other people have. Yes, Bonghole is very correct. You should listen to my album. Very good, hopefully. I don't know. I've never really actually had that many opinions on what it's like. I had a few. I did an album called Death Trans in 2020, which is also linked, I think. I had a few reviews on that. No one ever reviewed the album that I did most recently, which is a shame, because I still feel it, honestly. There's a couple of tracks I think I could have done a better job with, but I think it's pretty good.